and welcome to the special kickoff event of the 12 Days of Career Goals. I am so excited for you to be here, as each day we're going to unfold a new possibility and insight for you to redefine your career this holiday season. I'm Teresa White, career clarity coach and the founder of Career Bloom, and I am so excited to embark on this festive and absolutely amazing journey over the next 12 days with you. Are you ready to ignite the spark that drives your professional life? Do you often wonder what truly makes you come alive in your career? If you're nodding in agreement, today's session with the amazing Matt Mills is going to be for you. We're going to dive into the heart of what it means to find your spark. Because this isn't just about finding a career. It's about discovering that inner fire, what really makes us come alive, and aligning that with a career that brings us deep fulfillment. Matt Mills is a certified Sparketype advisor, and he will help us unravel the Sparketype assessment, which is such a revolutionary tool that's not just insightful, but especially for me personally, it was absolutely transformative. Because it does help you to get to the core of what makes work meaningful, and it can really help to redefine your career path. Today's discussion is going to be packed with actionable advice. So whether you're at a career crossroad, seeking clarity, or just looking for some festive cheer in your professional life, you are here in the right place. And the best part, we're even going to have some special holiday gifts for you to win. I'm going to talk more about that in the end, so make sure that you stay with us. Today's guest speaker, Matt Mills, comes with an inspiring story and a wealth of experience as a coach, speaker, and writer who helps individuals navigate through crossroads in their life and career so they can take bold steps to achieve powerful growth, fulfillment, and success where it matters most. Let's welcome Matt to the stage. Welcome, Matt. I am so excited to have you here.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here, Teresa, and to be talking with you and with everyone here.
Amazing. So let's kick this off with a little bit of festive spirit. Yes. I want to start off with asking you, before we dive deep into the Sparketype assessment, what is your favorite holiday tradition that you never skip, no matter how busy you are with work?
That is such a great question. And, I think it's pretty common. It's decorating the tree. It's picking out a Christmas tree every year. I usually do it at the weekends after Thanksgiving here in the US. And my wife and I get a tree and we decorate it and put on the lights. And honestly, every time that I look at it when I go home and see it all lit up, it just brings such joy and warmth to my heart. So that's my favorite tradition.
I love that. We have our tree decorated too. So yeah, for me, it's not the holidays without having a tree.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Real tree or a fake tree? Were you?
A real tree. Where I grew up on the East Coast of the US, we would cut down our own tree. So it was growing up in New England. That was what that was about. So real tree is my preference, but I have nothing against fake trees. I understand why people have an artificial tree. My family had one for a couple of years. So, but just the smell and having just a real tree is something special.
I'm with you there. I would love to hear from our audience. First, let us know where you're tuning in from. Let us know that you're here and share with us what is your favorite holiday tradition that you would never skip, no matter how busy you are. I would absolutely love to see what all of you do for the holidays. And let's go right into it. Matt, I would love to hear from you if you can share with us the moment where you realized that your career, because I know you come from the entertainment industry, that wasn't aligned with who you truly are, and how that sparked your journey towards self-discovery and career fulfillment.
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's something that's so fundamental to my background, especially as a coach and to my career path is, as you mentioned, I worked in the entertainment industry for a number of years, and growing up, that was my dream. I wanted to work in film and television. I wanted to, really be able to make magic with the movies. It was something that I just absolutely loved. And then when I got into that career, I did everything that a lot of people do in their careers. I worked hard. I followed a path that I thought that I had to follow, was successful, but something was just really unfulfilling about it. And I looked at where my path was headed, and I was seriously doubting if that was what I wanted to pursue, because something just didn't feel right and didn't feel like a good fit. So I, as many coaches come to before they go into coaching, I saw a coach, and she saw something in me that I didn't. And she had said to me, when you talk about teaching and coaching, you light up. And that changed everything for me. And as part of my job, I did a lot of reflection. And the things that I loved most was when I was teaching, learning, and coaching. I was running an internship program. I was working with students, and that was just transformative. And from there, it really turned into this journey where I explored teaching. I got to know teachers. I realized that I had a passion for serving and supporting others as a coach, as a teacher. And so really from there it was a complete change. And I did go into teaching for a time, and then that led me into coaching, and to where my career path has led since that point.
That's amazing, Matt. And I love that in your story, like, even though you weren't in a role of teaching or coaching in the entertainment industry, you realized that even though that wasn't your job, those were the moments that light you up and that you wanted to do more of that.
Exactly. And, it's in retrospect, it was a part of the way I approached my job. And that was what was a huge light bulb moment for me.
Yeah.
Is you're right. My job description wasn't being a teacher, but when I was able to express that impulse was when I really enjoyed myself and loved the work that I was doing.
You just mentioned the word impulse, so let's dive right into it. As a certified Sparketype advisor, you do have a very unique perspective on finding one's spark. Can you explain to our audience what the Sparketype assessment is and how it can help individuals identify work that truly energizes them?
Yeah. So, what the Sparketype assessment is it's a tool and a body of work that was created by Jonathan Fields, who is just this unbelievable person, thought leader, researcher, and he created this tool to really help people uncover what is the fundamental nature of the work that makes them come alive. And I was turned on to this by a friend of mine. I'd never heard of it. They said, what's your Sparketype? As a lot of times you hear from other assessments, they're like, what's your Myers-Briggs? What's your Enneagram? And so I didn't know. And when I took the assessment, it changed everything for me. It not only highlighted something that I had known deep inside, but it was just reframed a lot of things where I was getting stuck. And it was almost kind of like this roadblock just got out of my way. And it just unlocked so much for me. So really that's what this tool does, is it helps you find that work that makes you feel sparked, which means you're energized, you're engaged with the work that you're doing, you're fulfilled, it's meaningful, and that you're able to perform at your best. And who doesn't want to do that from all of their work? Doesn't want to have all of that. And so that's what that measures. And it can really tell you a lot about the work that fulfills you, makes you come alive, but also some of the work that is a heavy lift and can sometimes be more of a drag for you than you might know as you're doing it. So I can't speak enough about it, and I'm excited we're having this conversation and sharing it with the world. Yeah.
I'm right there with you, Matt. And I also want to mention it is a free assessment, so you can take it free of no cost at all at sparketype.com. And similar to your story, when I first took it, it changed my life. It was the most eye-opening assessment. Before that, I had taken lots of assessment. I really liked the Gallup Strengths Finder, but somehow that Sparketype assessment really got to the core of who I am. And it was just such an aha moment. I was like, oh, okay, it all makes sense now. It makes sense why I like these things, why I couldn't do these things, or why I like always thought I should do these things, but they felt such a heavy lift. And it for me, and I'm sure for many of my clients, and probably for your clients, it is such a like wow moment. Like it's incredible.
Yeah, and you know, I'll add to that. I think the most important thing when we come to these moments, and they're inevitable, and they happen frequently throughout our lives, where sometimes we get to a place where things feel a little bit off. And I know that you had this experience, and most people who do take this assessment do, is sometimes we can't explain or put words or understand where that conflict or where that discomfort is, or how to identify it or understand it. And I think that this was the first time in a long time where I took this assessment and unpacked it and really understood so much about myself. And it didn't mean I had to completely change and upend my life, but it was just, it helped to just bring things together that I think were tough for me to see how they fit. So.
What is your Sparketype, and can you share what that means for a moment?
Of course. So, and that's also really important. So when we talk about the Sparketype, when you take it, and as Teresa, as you said, it's a free assessment, and you get a profile that has 3 elements to it. And you have your primary impulse, which is really talking about the nature of the work that truly makes you come alive. If you could do that for the rest of your life, you'd be totally set. You'd love it. It feels easy. You're in flow. And then you have a shadow part of your profile, which is supplemental and supportive of that. So it helps drive and amplify that first part. And then you have a third part of your profile, which is called your anti-Sparketype. And that is the type of work that's the heaviest lift, the nature of work that's the heaviest lift. And there are 10 of these types. So, and each type has a particular title to it, but there's so much more information. Yeah. So my profile is, my primary is the sage, which is really, I thrive when I get to illuminate and teach and share information and knowledge and insights that I have that hopefully will help others grow and develop as well. So that's my primary. My shadow is what's called the maven. And the mavens are people who love to learn and absorb information. And for me, that's expressed when I love to learn. I love anything where it's a new book or a class or something that's just going to help make me more knowledgeable and better informed, and also better at the work that I'm doing. And then my anti-Sparketype is what's called the essentialist, and these are indispensable types. But the essentialist is really, at its core, you thrive on creating order from chaos. So these are the people who love to make things that might be messy or chaotic and really simplify them. I'm married to an essentialist, so I'll see her on the weekends rearranging the spice drawers or color coding the books on our bookshelf. So that's my anti, and it does not mean that I'm bad at that work. In fact, I'm actually quite neat and organized. It's just that takes a little bit more effort. It's the heaviest lift for me. So that's a bit of an unpacking of what my profile looks like. But you should share what yours is as well.
Yeah, no, I'm like, I love hearing about it. And I just recently went through the training to become a certified Sparketype advisor. Matt already is. And Matt was my leader in my training pod. And I can just speak to how much you see him come alive when he coaches and illuminates others. So I've seen you in those moments, and it's who you are. It's who you are. It's the moment that you really enjoy. And I'm immensely grateful that you were able to lead our learning pod through that experience. And for me, my primary Sparketype is the scientist. Mm-hmm. I come alive when I get to figure things out. Like anytime there's something to figure out, that is me. Like, and in my work as a coach, that's why I'm so drawn to the career clarity piece, because I get to figure out all the pieces. Like for me, it's like a puzzle. Like when I work with a client, it's like a puzzle, and they have all these puzzle pieces, their spark, their experience, their skills, and figuring out all these pieces and how we're going to put them together to find more fulfillment and find your ideal career. That's absolutely mine. But anything figuring out, if it's a puzzle, anything, I love that. And you already mentioned the essentialist. That is my shadow. So that helps me to do the work of the scientist even better, because I like to take, it can be quite chaotic, our past work experiences, and bringing order into that and finding patterns and then figuring out what this all means and where that should go is absolutely what I love to do. Yeah. My anti is the advocate, which is still something I'm still learning about, but it can be a heavier lift. And again, I'm not bad at it, but it is a heavier lift for me, especially because the advocate is so heavy in the service-oriented side. And that part is much of a heavier lift for me than the process-driven work for the scientist and the essentialist.
Yeah. And Teresa, I want to pull out something that you shared there that I think is really important, is that we're both coaches and we both have different profiles. And so what's really cool about the Sparketype is it's not something that's saying, here's what job you're meant to do, or here's the role, or here's the title. It's about how you can approach it. It's the nature of the work. So you could be any of these 10 Sparketypes with any role. So I loved how you were sharing that you approach your coaching as a scientist, which is not meaning that you have to go and work in a laboratory or be a scientist or a doctor. It's for you. You love the nature of the work where you get to sit with clients and help them put the puzzle pieces together.
Yeah.
I love to illuminate and teach with my clients and share with them some insights and information. So it's really, we're both doing similar work, and we come alive when we approach it in a unique way. And that's what is so unbelievably amazing about this tool. So I wanted to highlight that. Yeah.
I 100% agree. And it just makes me think about a client I just worked with. She was actually a advisor. So the work of coaching made her really come alive, like that coaching and mentoring. Mm-hmm. And she was really, for her, and her, okay, I'm getting too deep into the work, but her heavy lift, she was having to lead team meetings. That became an incredibly heavy lift from her. But it turns out she approached us from her anti-Sparketype. So she put herself in the position of the anti-Sparketype when leading those meetings, and they felt incredibly draining for her. And then just that mindset shift of how would the meeting look if you approach it from the lens of your primary Sparketype, and you become that coach and mentor in those meetings instead of what the heavy lift for is. And her whole work life changed just because of that shift in mindset of how you can approach one situation from different lenses.
Yeah. And a lot of times that's all that's needed for people to unlock a lot more ease and fulfillment in their work. Sometimes we come to these crossroads where we think we need to make a complete change. But really what, especially as you uncover this knowledge about yourself, it can show you that sometimes it's just about a mindset shift or a simple tweak to realign your work, leaning into new projects, reducing things off your plate. So that's such a great example, because it can work in so many different ways. And it doesn't mean that you have to just completely change everything about your career and your life. You can really just make those simple shifts and it can change everything for you, right exactly where you are.
Yeah, I agree. That's really the beauty of this assessment, that it can mean a little tweak, or it can mean a completely redefining your whole work life. It can be anything in between, right?
That's right. But exactly.
It's about what works for that individual, and there's not a one size fits all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exactly.
And Matt, one other thing that I heard you talking about is the importance of living life on one's own terms.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share strategies with us that helps us gain clarity in that and what that actually means for us professionally and personally?
Yeah. I think especially I'll talk about it in terms of our career paths. For most people, you kind of follow a path is not your own when you're starting off. We might study a subject in college and then get an internship and then get the job that fits, or that seems like it's an opportunity that comes to us, and we're kind of led onto a path. And that's when sometimes we can get caught up in that. We all have needs too. We need to pay the bills. So it's understandable that sometimes you need to work a job or a career path that does serve those needs. But really, when we talk about living your life on one's own terms or your career path, is really just having more of the awareness, and then making a choice that works, that can help to fit for what you want rather than what everyone else might want for you or what you're expected to do. So really, there's kind of two parts to that process. It's a letting go, of really letting go of the pressures or the things that maybe have been weighing on you in some regard, or maybe feel like that they're expectations that frankly might not even be there, and letting those go and then letting come. So really bringing in more of the work, bringing in more of into your life what's really important to you. So, I always start off with two simple questions when, coaches always want to know, what is it that you want? That's a hard question to answer.
Mm-hmm.
So I always tell people, start with the present and what do you want more of in your life or in your work? And what do you want less of? And those are two very simple questions, but they can really tell you a lot. And I think that especially going through the Sparketype and understanding that impulse, you can see. So for me, it's like, as the sage, oh, I want to bring in more teaching. I want to let go more of the organizing and the essentialist work. So I think really that letting go, letting come, and what do you want more of? What do you want less of? That can really help you start to look to see, what does my career or my life path look like, where it is on my terms.
Oh my God, I love that, Matt. What do you want more of and what do you want less of? That's such two powerful questions, because it also helps us to let go of some of those shoulds. I should be good at this. I should be doing this. I should do more of that. Mm-hmm. And is that really what I really want?
Yeah.
We rarely pause and actually ask ourselves that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And a lot of times we don't give ourselves that space to do that.
Yes.
But when you do, and especially working with a good coach can help you do that, it really can be like taking a deep, deep breath that you've been waiting to take for a long time.
Yeah. I want to bring this comment in from Charima. Thank you so much here for saying that's very interesting, approaching from anti-Sparketype. It really is one of the most eye-opening conversations to have with a client when they realize we can approach situations from two different angles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for everyone here in the audience, if you have questions, comments, please feel free to chime in the chat. Ask anything that you want to know while you have Matt here live as the Certified Sparketype Advisor who can answer those questions for you. And to wrap things up here, I want to ask you, what if for those people who really are at a point where they feel really stuck or uninspired in their current career path, what are the first steps you would recommend for them to help them rediscover their spark and move forward? What are the first steps someone can take when they're in a place where they don't want to be at this very moment?
Yeah. Well, the first thing is to slow down, take a deep breath, and know that it's normal and that it's okay. And that, our feelings are huge clues. And you want to take the time to listen to that. So if things are not feeling the way that they should, if you're unhappy, if you feel like you're stuck, first just know that it's okay. And most everybody will experience that at some point in their career, in their life. And then the next part on a practical level is take this archetype. There also, I would recommend, so as Teresa said, it's a free assessment. Takes 15, 20 minutes. Take your time with it. I do think that it's something where it's, you don't have to overthink it, but also you don't want to breeze through it as well. And then find someone to talk that through with, or at least just talk through what you're feeling. A really great coach is someone that can help with that. And so, of course, like Teresa, there's also anyone who's a certified Sparketype advisor, which Teresa, you will be very soon.
Thank you.
And so really just find someone who can be that support system for you. And I think that honestly, just know that it's normal and that things will get better. And it's when you decide to take action on it is when even the smallest action is when things will change for you. But if you decide to stay stuck with that, then you'll likely stay stuck. So take that small step and that small action, even if it's just taking the Sparketype assessment.
That is such a good insight to leave us with, is decide to take action. Because as long as we are passive and we are just feeling those negative feelings and we are frustrated and we feel stuck, it's not gonna change. The first thing we really need to do is say like, okay, this is what I feel right now and it's okay to feel this, but I need to do something to change. I need to get into the driver's seat of my life, of my career, and take one step to change. And that doesn't mean you have to take a million steps and feel like totally overwhelmed, but find one or two first steps that you can take. And I also think the Sparketype assessment is one of the best first steps to take. And then you take that first step and then, okay, let's talk it through with someone. And then, okay, maybe there's one small shift I can do. Is there one thing that I can approach differently? Is there a coach I can work with? So taking one step at a time makes that whole process of I'm not where I want to be from completely overwhelming to like, okay, let me approach this step by step and see where I can make small changes to improve my day-to-day, which in the end can lead to much bigger steps.
That's it. That's it. Momentum comes from action and motivation comes from action. So take that action and everything will unfold after that.
With that, thank you, Matt. I am so honored that I had you here to speak with you today. You were sharing such profound insight and experiences, and your journey and your advice are seriously like incredible for anyone looking to find more in their work and in their career that really makes them come alive and feel fulfilled and meaningful. So I absolutely appreciate you being here with us today. And where can people connect with you if they want to learn more from you?
So the best place to connect with me is on LinkedIn. It is really where I live, especially on the social media space. So you can look for me at Matt C. Mills. So it's linkedin.com/in/Matt C. Mills. And you can find me there. And please connect with me, follow me, and ask me any questions. And I would love to connect.
Thank you, Matt. Anna just dropped in here, this assessment can be life-changing. Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that into the chat. Matt, again, thank you so much for being here with me today. Absolutely highly recommend everyone here to connect with Matt. Hope that you're going to have a wonderful, beautiful holiday time. And thank you again.
Thank you.
And I want to recap the amazing insights Matt just shared. The two things that really stuck with me is, what do you want to do more of? And what do you want to do less of? Those two questions that Matt shared with us were so insightful and can really help point you in the right direction. And then the point of deciding to take action. We need to make that active decision to take action, because without action, our life is not going to change. Keep those two things in mind. And when you take the Sparketype assessment, please share your Sparketype with me. Nothing makes me happier than when I get to talk to people about what their Sparketype is and what that meant for you. And as we wrap up today's session, I want to remind you that this is only day 1 out of the 12 days of career goals. So we're going to have 11 more days packed with valuable insights, strategies, expert advice. We have the most amazing experts coming on this series, all here to help you redefine your career. I highly encourage you to visit the website 12 Days of Career Goals. Let me bring this in here right now. Definitely go to my website, the 12 Days of Career Goals. It's bit.li/12 Days of Career Goals. And you can sign up for this 12-day series. What that means is you're going to get 1 email a day with the link to the live event that you absolutely do not want to miss. And there's going to be exclusive bonuses. And when you register on this website, you're also automatically entered to win some really special prizes. This is my holiday gift to you, because this is all about giving back this holiday seasons. This is what the 12 Days of Career Goals is for. We want to give back. And in that spirit, I'm giving away a brand new resume written by me for you, an absolutely brand new resume. I'm giving away a brand new LinkedIn profile makeover, and I'm giving away my transferable skills guide that is incredibly useful in helping you identify your transferable skills. So make sure that you register on the 12 Days of Career Goals so that you're entered into the drawing, and most importantly, get the link to the daily live event. Because tomorrow for day 2, we're going to be back here with CEO and founder of the Career Diet, Anna Belyaeva. And I cannot wait for her to be here tomorrow and share her insights on leveraging transferable skills. Your dream career is not just a possibility, but it can be a reality. And we're here to make this happen over those 12 days. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Are you feeling stuck in your current career path? Wondering where to go next and how you could possibly get there? Then you're in the right place here today. I'm super excited because today we're going to delve deep into how the skills that you already possess can be your greatest asset in navigating career transitions. Whether that means moving up the ladder, switching industries, or going into a new professional environment, understanding and leveraging your transferable skills is a total game changer. So hello and welcome to day 2 of the 12 Days of Career Goals. I'm Teresa White, your host. I'm a career clarity coach and the founder of Career Bloom. And I am so excited to be speaking with Anna Belyaeva today. She is the founder of the Career Diet. And Anna's story is such a testament to the power of transferable skills. She pivoted careers 2 times without starting over or without taking a pay cut. And most incredibly, she moved countries 5 times. She has navigated diverse cultural and professional landscapes, making her an expert in identifying and leveraging those transferable skills. Anna is also a Stanford certified career coach, a LinkedIn learning instructor with 2 courses coming out in early 2024, and she has been featured in Business Insider, CNBC, The Sun, and many more. And I am so excited that she's going to be here today sharing her insights with us. So without further ado, let's welcome Anna. Hi, Anna. Welcome. It is so great to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I am so excited, and I'm very happy that we get here today. It's mid-December. I feel like it's perfect time to get in the mood and start thinking about career pivot as we're getting closer to the new year.
I so agree. You don't want to wait till January 1st to start thinking about it. It is like now is the time where you also hopefully have some time to slow down and really get in the mindset of like, okay, what do I want my 2024 to look like?
Absolutely.
Before we dive into the transferable skills, I would love to ask you holiday questions. What is your favorite holiday song or movie that you go back to every year?
I love this question. I actually love holiday movies. I love rom-coms. That's actually my plan for pretty much the next 2 weeks. I was coaching my students today earlier, and I said, I'm just going to bake cookies and watch rom-coms. Like that's just sounds incredible right now. But the one that I've watched probably the most is The Holiday.
Oh, I love that.
There's just something about it.
Like it's the one where they switch countries, right?
Yeah.
Is that LA and England?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's such a cute movie.
It's cheesy. I love it. I'm all for it.
I am all with you on the rom-coms. I would love to hear from the audience. Please let us know where you're tuning in from. Let us know that you're here and share with us what is the favorite holiday song or your favorite holiday movie that you go back to every year. We would absolutely love to hear from you. And let's get into transferable skills. But before we dive into that, I would love to hear more about the moments in your career change journey where you changed careers 2 times. Can you share more about that with us and how you did it?
Yeah, I actually wanted to share a very specific moment where I had a big aha moment. And I think a lot of people will probably be able to relate to it. So it was a few years back and actually exactly probably 5 years ago now. And it was just a few weeks before Black Friday. And I was still in my corporate job. I was alone at the office as I came in early. And at that point, I was in my dream career. Actually, before getting into this career, I went on a whole journey to discover what my dream career is. And now I teach my students how to go on this journey. And I ended up switching from accounting to design. So that's the career that I was in right before Black Friday 5 years ago. And I was working with designers and I was launching exclusive collections for Nordstrom, Anthropologie, Urban Outfitters. I was traveling to New York and LA to meet with the buyers. And I thought it was the coolest job ever. So I designed this job for myself as my dream career, and it was my reality. But after a few years in this career, I felt the disconnect. As you can probably imagine, Black Friday and the holidays in that type of industry, if you think of big retailers, is really the time of the year where they make the most sales. And my job was to make sure that we sell more and that people would buy more stuff. Mm-hmm. Problem was, as I was sitting in that office and thinking, well, why am I here? Because I remember thinking, well, I don't really like to buy things. I don't really like to buy stuff. I don't want more stuff. And I really changed in the last few years, and I don't really care about shopping or stuff. And in my personal life, I was actually kind of against Black Friday and the concept of it. Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking that, well, I feel like this was once my dream career, and I was just ecstatic when I got it, and I really liked it in the beginning, but I changed and it didn't really align with me anymore. It didn't make me feel good. And I kind of didn't like it anymore. So I decided then that morning at the office that it's time to make another pivot and find a role that is aligned with the new Anna, the new changed Anna, and the role that would make me feel good about what I do and the type of impact on the world that I would have that would actually align with me. So I went on that journey again to look at what lights the new Anna up, what's important to me now, what I value, what I want to do for my day, or rather what I want for my day, week, life to look like. And the result was actually me shifting now from design to the recruitment industry. And I loved it because I knew that now my work impacted real people, real lives, rather than just kind of selling stuff. So looking back, it really all that moment was really me looking inward. And I truly believe that career change and any sort of pivot always starts with looking inward. And this is just so important to remember, because if you are unhappy with where you are right now, like I was sitting in the office before Black Friday, and you feel like you're not really aligned with what you're doing, but your strategy is just kind of, browsing on LinkedIn to see what might be interesting, or pivoting into something that is hot or pivoting into something because it pays a lot, you will just feel that misalignment. So you will continue to feel unhappy. So I'm a big advocate of first looking inward when you start your journey. And that's what we always do with my students. We go on this journey inside my coaching program, the Start Candidate. I always encourage them, okay, you guys need to pause before we get into action. I know you're itching to take action, but we need to pause. We need to slow down to speed up, and we need to look inward first. So I'm curious if this kind of feeling misaligned with what maybe felt like the right career for you, if that resonates with anyone who is on the live here right now.
Yeah, please drop in the chat if anything resonates. If you have questions for us, please drop them in the chat too. We're going to try to get to as many questions as we possibly can. Your story is just absolutely incredible, Anna, and I can relate to so much of what you shared. And also it shows that what is a dream job for us at one point in our life is not going to be our dream job necessarily 10 years later. And we are allowed to change, evolve, and grow. And that is okay. And once we turn inwards, then we can find some of the answers of where we might want to go next.
So much, yes. I actually believe that we change every 2 to 3 years because we get into, if you look back to your own journey, and I encourage everyone to do that right now, your priorities and even your stage of life changes every 2 to 3 years. Your priorities and what's important to you and where you want to be and how you want to spend your time changes every 2 to 3 years. So of course, what's your dream career? Today will be different from what it will be 5 years from now. And that's fun. I know it might sound like, oh, I have to do this multiple times, but that's life. And figuring this out is actually really fun. What's next for me? What's right for me?
I'm so with you on that. It's what I love to do is figuring out this piece. So yes, it is. And it doesn't always mean we have to do a complete change, right? For some of us, it might be just a small pivot. For others, it might be a complete change of industry roles. But there's going to be a right answer for every individual person.
Yes, absolutely.
And I would absolutely love to hear from you. You just mentioned the term star candidate. Could you explain a little bit more about what a star candidate is and how transferable skills play a role in being a star candidate?
Okay, so I definitely talk about being a star candidate quite a bit. And so you definitely, sounds like you definitely noticed that. And it all started when I was in recruitment, because that's what we used to say. We're looking for star candidates. Mm-hmm. And to describe you who that is, that's someone who doesn't submit hundreds of applications online. Someone who doesn't just go into an interview hoping and praying that they will pick me. It's someone who doesn't just settle for a job because that's kind of all they could get, but that's not really what they wanted. A star candidate is someone who knows that they have options. By the way, this is so incredibly attractive for the employers. When you know that you have options, they just get so excited. You have no idea. A star candidate is someone who understands that their job revolves around their dream style, not the other way around. That's a big one. A star candidate is someone who goes into, whether it's interviews or networking meetings, with confidence, knowing that it's a conversation, it's a two-way street, and I'm here to determine whether I actually even want this. It's someone who is in the driver's seat of their career. It's someone who knows that they have value. It's someone who knows, speaking of transferable skills, that you never start from scratch.
Yeah.
Because you already have skills that you've spent years developing. And I'm a big advocate of becoming a star candidate, and that's my mission for everyone to become a star candidate, because I truly believe no matter where you are in your career and what industry you're in, you can become a star candidate. And I believe in it so much that I have a full program, the Star Candidate. It's my signature coaching program where I teach you step by step how to discover and land your dream job, and I turn you into the star candidate inside. So and transferable skills, as we said, is a big part of becoming a star candidate.
Oh my God, I relate to so much of what you're saying. My background is in recruiting too. And it is exactly those candidates you're looking for. It is really not the one who just randomly applies to anything on LinkedIn. And by the way, I have to be honest, that was me at one point. When I first started my professional career, I had no idea how to go about a job search. And I just randomly applied to a million jobs out there. Not a million, but a lot of them. And I had to learn the hard way that doesn't work. And then once I worked in recruiting, everything that you just said is like, that is what recruiters are looking for.
Oh my gosh. It's like, I remember the feeling of like, you look at someone's resume and you're like, oh my gosh, this might be the star candidate. And you call them, and within the first few minutes, like you just know instantly.
Yeah.
And they would, the best ones would always say, I'm good. I'm not looking. And we would always say, yeah, the best ones are not looking. Yeah. That's why I'm calling you, because you're that person. Yeah. And I, again, absolutely believe that it goes back to your mindset, your skills, including all the job searching skills that make you the star candidate, and not the experience that you have in terms of your professional experience.
True. Very true. And I always say all experience is experience. You never want to disregard what you did before, because it has value and you can apply it in so many different ways in so many different contexts. And that is what you want to leverage. And it's not about like, oh, I'll throw away everything I've done and I'm going to start over. That's not where we want to ever go. And you mentioned that a star candidate knows that they don't have to start from scratch, as we just said. I feel like a lot of job seekers feel that is the case when they pivot careers. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, let's get one thing out of the way. And it's that it's a myth. Yeah. You do not have to start from scratch if you are pivoting. And there are 3 reasons why. And anyone who worked with me or all of my students would know that I like things in 3s. So here you go, 3 reasons. Number 1, you have to remember that you already have a lot to offer. And those are your transferable skills. And here's how I like to think about it. You have already grown to a certain level in your career, and you have developed those transferable skills that you can only develop, my friends, with time and experience. And that has value. So now you just need to connect the dots for the employer and market those transferable skills strategically. Because something that I teach and preach is that the most qualified candidate doesn't always get the job. And I'm sure you have experienced that, Teresa, in your recruitment experience, that you have the perfect candidate that ticks all the boxes, and they don't even go to the last round because they don't know how to market their skills. So it's not about having all the skills. It's rather how you market those skills. So number 2, why you don't have to start from scratch, and why that's a myth that a lot of people believe. Diverse experience, different experience makes you a stronger candidate. I know it may not feel like that in the moment. It feels like, well, I'm lacking all of those skills and I have all of these other ones that they're not looking for. However, this different experience in a different function or different industry is a plus, but only if you see it as a plus and if you market it as such. And if you do so, that's how the employer is going to see. to see that additional different experience. And number 3, employers want to see a pattern of success. That's very important. If you're listening, if you're writing notes, write this down. They want to see a pattern of success. The pretty much number 1 thing that they care about is seeing that you have been successful at something else before. So that concept of star candidates. So they always look for star candidates. They look for superstars. So those people are actually really hard to find. And in fact, there was one hiring manager that I used to work with who would say, if you come across a former athlete, like I'll just hire them. I'll just hire them on the spot because of that pattern of success. Yes. And that's the same idea behind marketing yourself. So you can have all the perfect skills, but if you can market them, so if you can show that, oh, I've been a superstar at what I've done before, they don't really get excited. So it goes back to showing that you have been successful in the past. And speaking of starting from scratch and pivoting, I'm actually working on a new masterclass that's coming out in January, all about career pivot. And we'll definitely dive deep into this whole idea of starting from scratch and how you don't have to do that. So make sure that you follow me, and this way you won't miss an announcement and you can join us.
That sounds so incredible. And oh my God, that what you said is just, I had my hiring manager said word for word, I think the same thing. Like if it's a former athlete, I want to interview them. And it is because of that pattern of success. They are driven. They know what it takes to work in a team. They know how to work hard and to really go after the success. And that's what they want to see. And there are so many transferable skills that you wouldn't think from an athlete into a corporate role.
Oh my gosh.
But those skills are huge.
Oh my gosh. I love whenever I see on someone's resume, when it comes to my students, that they've done any sports competitively. I'm like, this has to be in, tell me about yourself. Like you have to really hit them with this. And actually that's what I used to do. I used to be a competitive skier. And that was like my 3rd bullet point in my tell me about yourself. And I would always bring you back to the role. So I would connect the dots, what we just talked about. And employers, every single time, like I just knew whenever I would get to that, like I knew it was like, it's going to land. They're going to love it.
Oh, so good. And so there's a question that just dropped in the chat. I would love to know, for anyone who wants to change careers or industries, what practical strategies would you recommend for identifying their transferable skills?
Mm-hmm. Good question. So when it comes to identifying your transferable skills, and this, my friends, you would want to write down. I'm going to give you an exercise to do after. So you're going to want to take notes. So there are 2 steps here. So step number 1 is actually understand what the transferable skills are. And there are 3 types, and this is what you want to write down. So there are skills with people, skills with data and or ideas, and number 3, skills with things. So let's break this down. So skills with people are basically your soft skills. So think conflict solving, selling, persuading someone, managing, consulting. So working with people, think of your soft skills. Number 2, skills with data and or ideas. So these are hard skills. So things like, or skills like working with numbers or organizing or planning or problem solving. Okay. You with me, everyone? And then finally, number 3 is skills with things. So this is, again, hard skills, but more think like making things, right? Building, designing, constructing, again, making. So those are the 3 types of transferable skills that exist. Okay. So that's your first step. Second step is to now identify yours, looking at in each category. So the way I like to do it, and the way I teach my students inside the Start Canada program, I actually get them to look at their past 6 experiences. If you don't have 6 roles in the past, don't worry. It can be, let's say, 3 roles, your degree, a volunteering experience. So it doesn't have to be 6 roles. If you have 6 roles, you can use 6 roles. or again, a combination of school and volunteering and different roles. And you look at every single one of them, of 6, and you look at what skills from those 3 categories you have developed and have grown and have shown in those experiences. And that is exactly what will help you to identify your transferable skills.
That is such a great exercise. And I love how actionable and doable it is for anyone listening in here. You can actually just do those right after this live. Take out a piece of
and you guys
paper.
will probably see quite quickly that, oh, like it's the same skill that I have done in the last 3 jobs. Or, okay, well, this one skill of, let's say you worked at a restaurant as, in the kitchen when you were in university. Well, you were making things, but that was like physically, right? Like skills with things. But that was just one experience a long time ago, right? But you want to look for skills that come up multiple times.
Yes. And I think there's a pattern for almost everyone. I noticed that with so many clients of like, okay, we see the same things that you're good at over and over. And once you see those patterns, it's like, this is maybe where I need to go into.
Yes, absolutely. And it's also something here you can also ask yourself, well, what comes easy to me? What do people come to me for?
Yes. Love those.
That's a good question to ask yourself as well.
Yeah, great ones. We just got another question in the chat, and that is, how can you effectively showcase your transferable skills in a job interview? Specifically in the question, it's in a final interview, but maybe you can expand on it, how you can showcase transferable skills in interviews in general and also on your resume.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. So some of it we actually have already talked about. Actually, both key things here we have talked about, but they're so important that I really want to reiterate them. Okay. So to articulate your transferable skills, there are 2 factors here. And when it comes to interview, I actually put it together in an interview success formula. So those are 2 parts of the interview success formula. So number 1 is what we talked about, showing a pattern of success. So how do you do that? It actually applies both to interviews and resumes. How do you show that pattern of success? Well, you show your results and you show your achievements. So thinking back to that athlete example, like if they have achieved something as an athlete, any sort of numbers, any sort of results you put on your resume, immediately you show a pattern of success. You show that I was actually really good at what I did before. So I always want for you, when it comes to job search, again, resume, interview, same idea. I want for you to get obsessed with this idea. How do I show them that I'm a superstar at what I've done before? Like that's your goal going into the interview. When it comes to the hiring manager interview, that's exactly what they're looking for. They don't want just someone who has done marketing before, or who has done accounting before, or who has 5 years of accounting experience. That's not the goal. They want to find a superstar. So they want to see your results and your achievements. So that applies both to resumes and interviews. And finally, what I call connecting the dots. So we briefly chatted about it earlier, but what does that mean? I say it quite often. You have to connect the dots for the employer. What does that mean? It means that you have to explain to them explicitly, say it out loud, what you just talked about, what it means to them. So let's say, again, back to the athlete example. So you mentioned that in the interview, like I was a competitive skier. That was me. Okay, great. Cool. That's very impressive. So what? Why does that matter to me, the interviewer? And you as the candidate might be thinking, well, what you mentioned, Teresa, earlier, well, it shows that I can work on the team. It shows that I'm determined. No. You have to say that. You have to say that. And if you're struggling with this kind of concept, I want you to think about marketing in general. Like this is the foundational marketing concept where you don't just show your customer all the features, i.e. all the skills, but you explain to the customer, well, this is what all the features, this is what it can do for you. This is how your life, this is how much cleaner your kitchen is going to be. Yeah. Not just it cleans very well, but this is how much cleaner your kitchen is going to be.
Yeah.
So you have to do the same for the employer.
That is such important advice, Anna. I cannot agree more that it's not just telling them what you have. You have to really lay it out for them. You have to be like, and this is what it means for you, or this is so what? This is why that aligns with the role that I'm interviewing for. And this is why I'm going to be an amazing candidate. I was a competitive skier, and I was so driven to win this race that I practiced really hard, that I did all these things in the training because I'm driven and I'm goal-oriented. And in this role, right, I'm going to bring that same mindset to this role. And this is what I'm going to be doing in this role.
Yeah, I remember I did that with Procter & Gamble interview, P&G. And one of their values is like competitiveness. That's what they're looking for in people. And that's what I quite literally said that. I was like, hey, I used to be a competitive skier, and I know that that's the kind of people that you're looking for. And this is it. Like, this is a perfect, I'm competitive. You're looking for competitive folks on your team, and this is a perfect fit.
And it also shows that you did the research about the company, like you knew what they're looking for, and you were able to present yourself in the way that they're looking for it.
Yeah. And again, like, you have to think about what matters to them, right? Yeah. Like, I wouldn't bring this up that I'm competitive in, I don't know, kindergarten teacher interview.
Yes, exactly. Yes, 100%. Anna, this was an amazing conversation. You dropped so many nuggets of wisdom in here, and I know people took so much away from this. How can people get in touch with you?
All right, my friends. So as I mentioned, in January, we are launching my brand new masterclass on career pivot. So if this is something that is of interest to you, make sure to follow me so you don't follow me, yes, on The Career Diet on Instagram or here on LinkedIn, so you don't miss the announcement. And for those of you who are ready to take action, you're like, yeah, I am ready. 24 is almost here. I want to make sure that I'm taking the right steps towards my new career, and I want to pivot as fast as possible. You can now, this is actually something new, you can now book a one-on-one free call with myself and my team. We will do career strategy together, and we'll show you options of how you can work with us further. So you can head to thecareerdiet.com/book to book your free career clarity call.
Anna is such an amazing expert in helping people transition careers. So if that is on your mind for 2024, take her up on that offer. Make sure that you follow her. And she shares content consistently that really shares those action advice that she shared with us today. I'm super, super grateful that you joined us for this 30 minutes and
shared.
Thank
you for having me.
You're so welcome. And I wish you a very happy holiday season.
Same to you. We can exchange in messages what movies we were watching.
Exactly. We will definitely do that. Thank you again, Anna, for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
This was such an absolutely incredible interview with Anna. And as we wrap up the session, I want to go back to the things that she said. Like, if you remember her program, The Star Candidate, what makes that star candidate? Really keep that in mind when you're going into a job search. How can you communicate in your value in a way that aligns with what the employer is looking for? And how can you communicate those transferable skills that you already have, the experience that you already have? How can you leverage that so when you pivot careers, you do not have to start over? And as we wrap up this second day of the 12 days of career goals, I want to remind you to please register on the website. It is bit.ly 12 days of career goals. Let me actually blend this right in here. because everyone who does registered on this website will be in for the drawing for these amazing prizes that we have in store for you. An ultimate resume upgrade, so a brand new resume, a deep dive coaching session with me. You can win a standout LinkedIn profile, and you can win 5 prizes of the Ultimate Transferable Skills Guide. So totally relevant to today's session. Make sure that you go to the website bit.ly/12 days of career goals so that you're registered, get the link to all those 12 amazing live interviews. You're gonna get different bonuses, and you're gonna be in for the drawing of these amazing prizes. Thank you again for joining us today. It was amazing to have all of you here in the audience. A huge thank you again to Anna for her amazing contribution. And stay tuned for more. We'll see you back here tomorrow. I am so excited to welcome you to day 3 of the 12 days of career goals. Are you navigating your career path feeling like there is something missing, despite maybe even ticking all those traditional boxes of success? Or have you ever wondered if there is more to work than just earning a paycheck? If any of those questions ever crossed your mind, then you are in the right place right here at the right time. Because today's live session, Identify Your Work Values, is for professionals like you who are seeking more than just a job title or a paycheck or a salary. For those of us who are actually looking to find meaning or satisfaction or fulfillment in our careers. And in a world where the nature of work is constantly evolving, just think about all the AI that came out this year. Aligning your career with our core values has become even more important. Understanding and honoring our values can really be the key to finding a career that not only brings success, but also fulfillment and joy and makes us come alive. If you've ever felt a disconnect between your job and your personal values, or if you're looking to make a career move that aligns more closely with your values or what truly matters to you, then you definitely do not want to miss today's session. I am so excited that this is day 3 of the 12 days of career goals. I'm Teresa White, career clarity coach and the founder of Career Bloom, and I am thrilled to be joined by Yauhan today. He is an organizational psychologist, change management advisor, LinkedIn top voice, and an amazing career coach. Yauhan's expertise in empowering professionals and his personal journey make him the absolutely perfect expert to join in today's conversation. So without further ado, let's bring Yauhan to the stage. Yauhan, welcome. So great to have you.
Hello, Teresa. I am so honored to be here with you today on LinkedIn Live and live on all the other channels as well. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me on this special day 3 of 12 days of career days.
I could not be more excited to talk about career values with you. But since it is the festive season, I want to start this off with a festive question. And I'm wondering, have you ever received an unusual or totally unexpected holiday gift?
I think I won't mention this on live if I received any unusual gifts. That might be TMI, too much information to reveal. but I will say that this year for Christmas, even though it's not Christmas yet, I have received a gift. So my wife planned a getaway for the entire family, and we are going to be going to Orlando this Saturday, and we're going to be going to Disney and Universal. So
Oh my God, that is so exciting.
super, super excited about that.
I am really happy for you.
Yeah, yeah. So that's something I'm definitely looking forward to.
That's amazing. And thank you for those in the audience who are dropping in a hi already. Lisa, it is amazing to see you here. Thanks for joining. We have Yokesh from Canada joining. Thank you for being here. If anyone else is joining in live, please drop a hi in the chat. Let us know. And I would love to hear from the audience as well. What is one unusual or unexpected holiday gift that you have gotten for the holidays? Let's share that with each other and bring some holiday spirit into the conversation.
Do you want to share, Teresa? Is there something you received that was unexpected or unusual?
I think as far as unusual, so my birthday falls on Christmas. I'm born December 24th, which in Germany is Christmas. We celebrate Christmas Eve. So it's always, I'm used to celebrating birthday in the morning and Christmas in the evening. So there have been a few times where I got like a left shoe for my birthday and a right shoe for Christmas. Or like if there's a matching outfit, I got like the pants for my birthday and the top for Christmas. So like getting like single shoes, like just a right shoe or left shoe, is always been like kind of an unusual gift.
Oh, that is fun. And now we all know when Teresa's birthday is. So remember to wish her on December 24th/25th.
Thank you, Yauhan. So let's dive into career values. And I would love for you to share moments in your career that led you to realize the importance of our work aligning with our values. Were there any moments where you realized like, oh, this is actually really important that my work aligns with my personal values?
Yeah, yeah. So before I dive into this question, Teresa, I think it's important. Okay, so we have quite a few people joining over here. Hello, everyone. Hello, Amy, joining from Tampa, Florida. So I'm going to be very, very close to you, Amy, in just a few more days. And then we have my friend Ifunaya joining from Toronto. Welcome, Ifunaya. Thank you so much for joining. So before I answer this question, I think it's important for us to know what values are, because people define it in many different ways. So for me, work values are basically any work related qualities, principles, and standard that truly matter to you. And knowing what your work values are can not only help you plan a career, but it also helps you look for opportunities in your current role or to make a current change, right? And if you can really identify and align with your values, that makes a world of a difference. So in terms of moments in my career, there actually have been quite a few moments in my career where I realized, the importance of values. Unfortunately, it wasn't the earlier part of my career. It was, in the last few years that I've realized. So in my current role with Deloitte, I purposefully chose a role that was work from home. So that helped me in maintaining work-life balance, because I have three now young kids at home. It was also a role where I knew that the manager was someone who would provide lots of feedback, lots of positive, recognition. This is something I seek. I look for, doing good work and then getting acknowledged for that work. So recognition is an important, value for me. The other value for me that's important is collaboration. And what I was told in my current role at Deloitte is, we will be a part of a small team where all of us will collaborate together, as opposed to everyone working in silos. So this was another instance where I was purposeful in knowing what my values are, what the work values are, and making sure those align. And I cannot tell you how satisfied I am and how fulfilled I feel because of aligning, my values purposefully with the values of the role. So
Thank you so
that's one current instance. Before that, when I started doing consulting, again, I was given the choice of, taking something that was travel or no travel. And I purposely chose, even though I was getting a pay cut in salary, I purposefully chose a role which involved little to no traveling. again, because I was newly married, and we wanted to stay close to each other. So there have been quite a few instances in my life where I was mindful of the roles I picked based on my values.
Thank you for sharing that, Yauhan. I think that is so important because there can be so much external pressure in our lives where it feels like, oh, you should go for the role with the highest title or with the most pay. But if we actually pause and be like, is that actually what I want deep down? Or are there values that are more important? And there's nothing wrong if earning a lot of money is one of your top values. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. But if your values are work-life balance or remote work or family time, that is equally valuable. And it is okay to prioritize those.
Yeah, absolutely important to prioritize those. And before you prioritize those, it's important to know what those are, and make a list for yourself. So that's something I do as part of my practice as well, is having people go through that list and then pick out the top five, right? That resonate with them.
I love that you do that. And actually, I would love to hear more about how you guide professionals in recognizing and aligning their work values with their career choices.
Yeah, absolutely. Would love to share that. So, a lot of the people who I support, Teresa, when I begin supporting them, they don't know too much about values, right? And then I have to explain to them that, you spend 40 hours and sometimes even more of your time at your work every single day. But have you ever stopped to think about your personal work values, right? And it's important, for both employees and employers to be in alignment with that, right? Because this synergy is what creates, harmony for the employee, and more productivity for the employee working over there, and also beneficial from an employer perspective. And you have someone who is more motivated, more energized coming to work. So the first thing,
I
yeah,
agree.
yeah. So the first thing I do is I give them a list of different values, right? So these can be personal values, and some examples of personal values could be accountability, attention to detail, reliability, honesty, autonomy, right? So these are some examples of personal values that people would have. And then I give them a list of work values. And work values could be things like work life balance, recognition, right, as being an expert known by people for doing something. Challenging work can be a value for some people. Competition, believe it or not, is a value that drives a lot of people and motivates a lot of people. And then there are other ones, such as a chance to help others, right? So helping people either one-on-one or groups, chance to make a difference in society, right? So doing something that is worthwhile or beneficial to society as a whole. So those are some work-related innovation, creativity. Those are some work-related values. And then I give them definitions of each one of those values. And I asked them that, having looked at the definitions, reflect back on your previous work and think about times where you really felt energized and in sync and fulfilled at work, and which of these values were being met for you, and also times where you did not feel fulfilled, you did not find the work to be meaningful, and which of the values were out of sync, right? So that's kind of looking at the recent past, not too much, but the recent past. And then we look at the future. And I tell them that, out of these list of 50 different values, what are the absolute, 10 things that you need in your next role? And I want you to
Yeah.
prioritize them 1 to 10, right? And when they go through that exercise, it becomes very clear that some people are driven by money, some people are driven by flexibility, some people never want to go back into the office, right? Some people don't want a location that is any more than 30 minutes away from their home. Some people want managerial kind of roles where they have authority, versus some people are more than happy to work under leadership. So that's the process.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Yauhan. That was, excuse me. I really love your process of guiding people through the step by step, because it's hard when you're just being asked, what are your work values? Most people are like, I don't know, like, where would I even start? But I love your process of looking in the past, finding moments where you were aligned with your values or weren't aligned, and then thinking the future. And I also love the tool of prioritizing, that you know which one are actually your number 1 and 2 and 3, because we can't find a career. Well, maybe we can, but it's hard to find a career that matches 25 of our values. That would be very difficult, and we probably wouldn't even know how to make that match.
Yeah.
But if we know, like, okay, these are my top 5, those are my non-negotiables, I can then go out and I'm like, okay, this is what I'm looking for, and I can find something that aligns with it.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's so important, Teresa, to spend time upfront doing this, because otherwise you're going to end up in a job where you might be really good at the job, but for some reason you feel empty. For some reason you feel dissatisfied, and you're not sure what this dissatisfaction is being caused by, and that's because you haven't taken the time to understand what's most important to you, which are your values.
Absolutely. And I love this theme is carrying through the first week of this live series. We talked about this on day 1 and 2 as well, is that before we make a change, it is so important to pause for a moment and look inward before we then go outward. And yes, absolutely. And from your perspective, Yauhan, how do identified work values then impact job satisfaction or career fulfillment?
Yeah, so we touched upon this a little bit, but I cannot emphasize enough, Teresa, how important identifying and align with your work values, has a direct correlation to both job satisfaction as well as career fulfillment. So there have been numerous studies, time and again, that have shown that, employees, on average, employees say their work is half as meaningful as it could be, right? And people are, more than 50% of people are dissatisfied at work, and a big part of this is not because they cannot perform the job, or it's something that is challenging for them in terms of, a work perspective. It's because they haven't taken the time to understand their values and align that with the organizational values. So in addition to, finding values, I think we have to think about why go through this process of aligning the values, right? And one of the key things is career fulfillment. We spend more time sometimes at work with our peers, with our colleagues, than we do at home, right? With our spouses, with our families, our children. And so if you spend so much of your time at work, it just makes a lot of sense to identify what is it that you're looking for in your next role. What is it that matters most to you? What is it that is most important to you? Is it money? Is it relationships? Is it the type of work environment? Is it the boss? Is it a combination of all of these things, right? And at the same time, it's also important to know that, we as human beings, we want something that fulfills us internally, right? And our values really will help us achieve that fulfillment. So it's not just satisfaction and fulfillment, even other factors such as absenteeism, right? So the amount of times you will call in sick, turnover, so the percentage in which you will leave the organization, your work productivity, the way you show up at work, all of these inherently are tied to your values, right? And that's why it's so important to go through that practice.
I love how you emphasized that, or actually also highlighted that there's so many people that are unfulfilled in their jobs. And that was me at one point. That's what brought me to where I am today. But it is when I look back, I'm like, yes, all my values were out of sync. It just didn't align. I had studied sustainability and then working for international transportation company. Like that did not go together whatsoever. And every day I felt like wrong about what I'm doing and supporting here at my work, because with my personal value, that just wasn't like, I had to upsell customers into cars that burn more fuel. Then in my mind, I was like, man, can we just only have hybrid cars so we can save the environment? So that was an internal battle I was facing every day. And at that point, I just thought like, wow, this is what I should be doing to move up in my career, to become a manager, to grow in the company. And I didn't give myself permission to stop and really think like, why why is this feeling so wrong inside of me?
And you bring up a good point, Teresa, that it's not just about, aligning your values to the role. I think it's about aligning the values to the organization and
Mm-hmm.
aligning your values sometimes even broader to the industry. So, for example, I know certain people who would never work for like a gaming company or a company that, for example, like a casino, right, where there's
Yeah.
gambling involved. Or I know people who would never work for an alcohol or tobacco company, right, just
Mm-hmm.
because of their values, their religious, points of view, restrictions, and all of this. So you have to look from an industry perspective, does that make sense and align with your values? And then from a company and culture perspective as well. Like you said, you were trying to sell cars that emitted so much, CO2 into the atmosphere, right? And for someone like you, it wouldn't make sense because you are, supporting and putting in your hours for a company that's polluting the environment. And if you care for the environment, that is not in sync with your values, right? And I'm sure all of us have worked for companies where we just really desperately wanted the job, right? So it didn't matter
Yeah.
what the company was, what they were doing, the kind of products they were selling or the services they were offering. We just wanted a job, and that's why we took on the job. But I can bet you that you did not stay in that job for too long if your values did not align with the company values.
I was actually with them for 8 years, so it was a
Oh,
long time.
wow.
Different positions, but I was there for a very long time. There were obviously a lot of goods and bads to it.
Yeah.
But I'll tell that story another day. But yeah, I feel like for me, a big shift came when I realized that I'm allowed to pay attention to my values, that I don't have to follow all the shoulds in society
Hmm.
of like, I should have a prestigious job, I should be making a lot of money, I should do this, I should do that. I'm like, no, I can actually pause and stop and reflect on myself, and is that aligning with what I really want in my life? And that was a big moment for me to realize, like, no, this just isn't where I want to be.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And one thing I would love to hear from you, Yauhan, because you just mentioned you have 3 kids, you have a wife. How do you personally balance your values with your role outside of, well, with your different roles outside of work?
Yeah, no, I will tell you, Teresa, that it's not easy. It is definitely very challenging to make a balance between, family life, work life, and pursuing my passion as well for coaching. I think what's really important is having a supporting partner, which I have in my wife. She is, extremely supporting, extremely understanding of, what is it that I want to do, and I do the same thing for her as well. My wife is an entrepreneur. She's a leadership and executive coach, also very active on LinkedIn, in case you want to find her and follow her. And yeah, she's got a busy schedule, I've got a busy schedule, but we still make things work out because we sit down, we know what we want collectively, what our values are in terms of doing good work, in terms of serving society, in terms of being good role models for our children. So those are kind of like our top 3 4 values, right? So even though work can be quite hectic and sometimes we have to, go into the evenings and work into the evenings, we still try to maintain that balance and support each other, as long as our values are being met. So this is the question I get all the time is, how do you balance everything? And for me, anytime I find that I'm going overboard with my work, I purposefully reflect, take a pause, and I will cut down in terms of the amount of work that I do. This is not for work. At work, I can control and cut down on the amount of work I do, but this is in my coaching practice. I will purposefully, not take on as many people, even though they're ready and ready to go. It just doesn't align with, it doesn't align with me being overworked and then not serving my children after that.
That's beautiful that you are setting those boundaries. And I feel like it's a question that's often asked of women, but not as often as of men, of like, how do you balance all of this? And it affects everyone, right? Even if you don't have a family, you have outside responsibilities, hobbies, those are all important for us, and we should never feel like we can't, like, maybe you don't have kids, but you have a hobby that's really important to you, and it impacts you if you lose that time to go to your yoga practice or whatever it is that's important to you, and also that community that comes with it. So knowing what our priorities are outside of work and at work, and then when things feel off, and hitting the brakes and saying like, okay, stop, this isn't right now. How can I realign? I absolutely love that you and your wife do that together. That's so beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, and we've done this, because my oldest one is now 9 years old. So we've done this for many, many years now. And there are times it gets really tough when there is, I have a meeting and she has a meeting at the same time. But for the most part, we have our calendars in sync where we both won't have a meeting together, or we won't have like back-to-back meetings, so it becomes a burden on the other person to watch the kids for, like, especially the baby now, for 3-4 hours at a stretch. I know I can't do that, watching a little one for 3 hours at a stretch. So I tell her to kind of pace herself with her meetings, and thankfully she's been very understanding. So I think it requires a lot of upfront communication, a lot of understanding, and care, like just care and for each other, and being supportive with each other. So I wouldn't say it's me balancing things and me doing all of this amazing things with limited time. I think it takes a whole village, right? We also have support from family. So we have some family who live close by. So at the instance where I have meetings and she needs to attend a conference, we call in our family members and they step in and they help as well.
It's amazing to hear that it's okay to reach out for help, and in the end, communication is everything.
Absolutely.
Communication at work. If your values out of sync at work, being able to have that relationships at work that you can communicate it, and communication inside the family, inside the home, to communicate something is not right, or how can we make things better so this works for all of us. Because in the end, we all want to thrive at work, at home. We all win when everyone feels they can do their best work, or can bring their best selves to the family or to their work.
Totally, absolutely, yes. Yeah.
And Yauhan, I would love to hear how you see the concept of work values changing. Like, I mean, especially 2023 has been this crazy, rapidly evolving job market, work environment, AI, like so much is happening. How do you see work values changing?
Yeah, I think, at an individual level, I'll speak at an individual level first, right? At an individual level, I think we all have to recognize and appreciate the fact that your values can change and evolve over time. So I'll give you my example. When I was in the early part of my career, as a young consultant, I was really, really driven by challenging work, and I was really, really driven by money, right? So it was all about doing good work, taking on difficult projects, and earning as much money as possible. Now, those values are not even in my top 10. Money is not even in my top 10. Challenging work is not something that's most important to me right now. For me, right now, like I said earlier as well, it's work life balance, working with a good team, doing good work, making an impact to the people I work with, and then making an impact in society as well, which I do through my coaching practice. So people's values change over time. And then, if you look at society as a whole, also I feel, societal values have changed and evolved over time. So if you look at, maybe our parents, right? They definitely had values around loyalty, right? So they would stay with one employer either their entire life, or would switch only maybe one or two jobs during their entire career. The concept of loyalty is thrown out of the window with people of our generation, right? We don't care so much about sticking with the company throughout our tenure. It's very hard if you find a Gen Y or Gen Z who believes in that, right? So that was a big shift. And then, of course, when COVID came, COVID shifted things quite a bit as well, where working from home at that point before COVID was a luxury, right? Not too many jobs were remote work from home. But now most of the jobs, I would say, are hybrid, right? So it's a combination of people going into the office and working from home. So that concept did not exist, 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, when at the onset of COVID. I think as we move more, and as Gen Z and the generation after that begin to enter the workforce, I think we will have a new set of values that would matter for these people. So we already know that Gen Z don't prefer to be working from one place, right? What they care about is, give me the work, I will deliver the work. Don't ask me where I'm working from, how I'm working. As long as I give you quality products, on time, that's what matters, right? The other thing that people of the Gen Z generation value is multiple sources of income, right? So it's not just about having one full-time vocation. It is about, okay, I have my full-time job, but then I also want to think about other passions of mine, other interests of mine, and then possibly convert those into side career options, right? So there's going to be, and now with AI taking the world by storm, I'm sure there's going to be so many other different ways where technology is going to advance. And you never know, maybe people are no longer using laptops. There might be other technology that people are using, and people are doing more of the nomadic lifestyle, where it's not, you don't have to be in the specific country even to work. You can be anywhere in the world. So I think I expect to see more and more of that.
I love those insights. And yes, I agree. The world is changing. I mean, it's ever evolving, but we can't even predict what our work lives are going to look into in 5 or 10 years. As you said, we might not even be working on computers anymore.
Mhm.
You can't even imagine this right now, but who knows what is going to come. So also recognizing that things are changing, and it's about finding what works for us right in this moment, and not necessarily having to focus on like, okay, this is different from what was 5 years ago, and that's okay. And it will be different again in 5 years, because I'm changing, the environment is changing, and our values are going to change. And whenever we get to a point where that is no longer in sync, then it might be time for a change, a small pivot, a larger change, whatever it is that you can do to realign with where you are today.
Yes, it's a constant process of alignment, realignment, adjustment.
Yeah. And Yauhan, appreciate these amazing insights that you shared with us. Oh, love that you just dropped in the question. Drop in the chat, what was your biggest learning from today? Please share that with us. And also, if you have any questions, this is also the time to drop those into the chat so we can be here and answer them for you. And while people think about dropping their biggest learnings into the chat, Yauhan, please share with us how people can get in touch with you.
Yeah, absolutely, Teresa. So I'm not very big on social. I don't have, like a Instagram or TikTok or YouTube, any of that. I'm pretty simple, straightforward that way. I just have one social media platform that I use, which is LinkedIn. So if you want to get in touch with me, Teresa has kindly shared my profile link. You can definitely add me on LinkedIn. Let me know you tuned in to the live with Teresa and myself, and I would be more than happy to have you as part of my network.
You definitely, Yauhan is someone you absolutely have to connect with. He shares so much advice and tips. I think you post almost daily, right?
I try to. It's been not so much daily these days with the little one at home, but yeah, at least twice or thrice a week.
Yes. And Yauhan's posts are always like, I always take some wisdom away when I read your posts. So he is someone you absolutely want to and need to follow. Let's see here. We see some in the chat. It's easier to know what values you don't want than the ones you do want. I love that insight. And actually, I sometimes have clients start with that. If they don't know what they want, we start with what do you not want? And if you know what you don't want and you write those things down, then we'll think like, okay, what is the opposite to that? Mm-hmm. So what do you not want? I don't want to work nights and weekends anymore. Oh, so maybe what you do want is either a flexible schedule or an 8 to 5, or I don't want to. A lot of times after COVID, people said, I just don't want to be stuck at home and just work from home anymore. So maybe what you want is, do you want to go back into the office? Do you want to work a hybrid schedule? Do you want to look for a coffee shop that you can work at from? Do you want to look for co-working spaces? So the don'ts are just important clues as the do's. Any thoughts on that, Yauhan?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I do that as well, Amy, as part of my practice, is I create a list of, the non-negotiables, which are the absolute must-haves, and the things you don't want. And I see a lot of the similar things what Teresa just said. I also see a lot of people don't want, especially the younger folks, don't want a manager who's always watching them.
Yeah.
So someone who micromanages is something that always comes up on that list as well. And in terms of a work environment, I feel also the Gen Z, they prefer a more light, fun kind of a work environment, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to a very hierarchical organizational structure. They prefer the flatter, more relaxed structure, and more flexibility that way.
Yeah, I agree. And then you can, when you realize like, this is what I don't want, then you can think of like, okay, what do I want instead? What would it look like if it were different?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Thanks for dropping this in, Amy. That was such a great insight to end on. And wow, what a fantastic discussion, Yauhan. Your insights have been amazing. And I'm so grateful that you joined us today. So thank you so much for being here with us today. And I hope that you and your family are going to have a beautiful holiday season and an amazing time in Orlando.
Thank you so much, Teresa, for inviting me to this LinkedIn Live. I was so honored when you picked me. I know all 12 of your guests are super impressive, high profile coaches, and I was honored when I got that message from you saying, Yauhan, would you like to join? So thank you so much. Thank you for picking me, and happy holidays. Happy holidays to you, your husband, your two little kids as well, and everyone in your family, and for everyone joining over here as well. If we don't get a chance to connect before the holidays, happy holidays to all of you. Wishing you lots of good wishes and blessings for the season.
Thank you, Yauhan. It was really special to have you here today, and we'll be talking soon.
Definitely. Thank you, Teresa. Have a nice day.
You too. Well, that was such an incredible conversation with Yauhan. Thank you to the audience for being here with us today. Thank you for dropping your wisdom in the chat and participating on this event today. And I want you to keep in mind that this was only day 3 of our 12 Days of Career Goals series. So we have 9 more days filled with invaluable discussions, incredible expert advice. And as Yauhan said, we have some really top-notch career coaches coming on here, some amazing experts that have great advice waiting for you. So make sure that you do sign up on the 12 Days of Career Goals, which is completely free, just like today's event, so that you don't miss out on getting the daily link to the daily live event. And when you sign up on the 12 Days of Career Goals, you also have the chance to win amazing prizes, because I'm going to be giving away some really amazing prizes that you can see right here. So the biggest win you can take away is to get a brand new resume from me, from Career Bloom. So this is a huge one. I've never done this before. I don't know if I'll ever do this again, to give away a full resume. I'm also giving away a one-on-one deep dive coaching session with me. So I'm a career clarity coach. If you are feeling lost and not sure what you want to do next in your career and looking for that clarity, that one-on-one deep dive session is going to be a total game changer for you. I'm giving away a standard LinkedIn profile, so a complete overhaul of your LinkedIn profile, and I will make it shine and have recruiters attracted to your profile. And then last but not least, I have the Ultimate Transferable Skills Guide, where that helps you to identify your transferable skills that you want to be using in the future. And I'm giving away 5 of those. So make sure you can either scan the QR code or go to 12 Days of Career Goals to sign up for this amazing 12-day live event. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us today. Keep redefining your career. Stay inspired, stay motivated, and I hope to see you all of you back here for our amazing live event tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Have you ever stopped to consider the immense power of your professional network? In a world where who you know is often just as important as what you know, mastering the networking can be the key to unlocking your career success. Today, on our special LinkedIn Live session of day 4 of the 12 Days of Career Goals, we're going to dive deep into the art of building your network. If you've ever felt that networking is just about exchanging business cards or adding contacts on LinkedIn, gonna think again, because it's about forging meaningful connections, sharing knowledge, and paving the way for opportunities that can literally transform your career. And if you're wondering how to navigate networking in today's super dynamic and crazy professional landscape, especially also in male-dominated industries, or how to balance networking with our crazy busy schedule, then the session is for you. We'll also dive into overcoming imposter syndrome in networking and how networking contributes to a more holistic and fulfilling definition of success. So I am so excited and thrilled to welcome Natalie Serebrennik, a certified professional coach who has transitioned from a successful career in capital markets to empowering success-driven women in their career path. Natalie brings over 16 years of corporate experience and a wealth of knowledge and coaching. So without further ado, let's welcome Natalie to our virtual stage.
Hello.
Hi, Natalie.
Hi. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
I am so happy to have you, and I'm so excited to dive into networking with you. For our audience, please also drop a hi in the chat. Let us know where you're tuning in from. We would love to see you here. Also, any questions that come up during this live, please drop them in the chat because we are here for you. Natalie, before we dive right into the heart of talking about networking, I want to ask a holiday question first. Do you have a favorite holiday dish that you love to eat every year?
I do. So we are Jewish, so we celebrate Hanukkah, and it's the last night tonight. And by far my favorite holiday treat is it's twofold. It's matzo ball soup with a side of fried latkes. It's the best. It's so good. It's so good for the soul.
What's in the soup?
What's in the soup? So it's called matzo balls. So it's a matzah meal and formed into like these little balls, and it's in a chicken bone broth soup.
Ooh, and what's the side? What was that?
It's a potato latke. So it's, if you can envision like shaving a potato, and then you add in some spices and egg as a binder, a little bit of flour, maybe some shaved in onion as well, just for that extra kick in the flour and into the flavor. And then you fry it on both sides. It's so delicious, and it goes so well with the matzo ball soup.
Oh, that sounds really good. You're going to have that tonight?
You know what? I've been having it for the last couple of days, so I'm actually going to take a pause right now. But yes, I definitely indulged. Definitely.
That's amazing. I love that.
How about you? What's your favorite holiday treat?
So I'm from Germany, and at home for the holidays, we would eat raclette, which isn't like super traditional for Christmas, but I'm vegetarian, so I don't eat like the goose or duck, which is a German tradition to eat for the holidays. And raclette if you love cheese, then raclette is heaven. It's like the Swiss cheese that you heat up in a little oven that's on the table, and then you can like add it over potatoes and vegetables.
I mean, that sounds delicious.
I mean, it's pretty much just cheese, but
yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong, and melted cheese over anything just makes it so much better.
Great. All right, let's talk about networking.
Mm-hmm.
Natalie, you made a significant shift from capital markets to coaching. How did that transition shape your views on the importance of networking?
I love this question so much because being in corporate for as long as I had been, like nearly 17 years, I knew the importance of networking. I understood that by building your visibility, creating those connections of support and empowerment, I knew that was important. I knew. Transitioning to now officially launching my business and being an entrepreneur, if anything, that narrative is so much stronger. It's so much more important to me. So when I think about like my must-dos to create like a success in my career right now, networking is by far definitely at the top of the list.
I love that you're highlighting the importance of networking, because it is really true, right? That it's so much more, often more important that who we know is more important than what we actually know. Not that that is unimportant, but connections are everything in this world.
It truly is. And it's the backbone of just knowing you're not alone. Like that simple statement resonates with me so much. I've led my career in capital markets with a support system, and I didn't always have it. And when I got it, I can't even tell you how much it helped me grow my confidence, my companionship, my opportunity set. It really is like life and career changing.
Yeah. And I agree with what you said, is you're not alone. And it's not like, even if you work within a team or you have a manager, you can't go to them for everything. Maybe there are some things where you would like an outside perspective, or you would like more of a mentor person to give you feedback on, or sometimes you just need a peer to vent to. And all of that you can find all of that in your network. And the more people you know, the more opportunities you have access to. So it is so important to expand your network.
Yeah. And you don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah.
So by engaging in conversation, it's the easiest way to fill in some of those knowledge gaps you didn't even know that was in your blind spot, right?
Yeah, I agree. Just seeing some highs dropping here in the chat. Hi, Eva. Great to see you here. Anyone else who's been tuning in, drop a hi in the chat. Let us know that you're here. Let us know where you're tuning in from. We're always excited and happy to hear from you. Again, if questions come up, feel free to drop them in the chat as well. And Natalie, I've heard you before say that you said that you equated success with promotions and more money, which I think a lot of us do, right? Success means promotions and more money. But I'm wondering how your definition of success has evolved, and how do you think networking plays a role in achieving more of a holistic form or view of success?
Yeah, so good. I was raised with immigrant parents. And the mentality and that narrative was so strong when I first started my career that, truthfully, honestly, Teresa, my only goal for the longest time was to climb up that corporate ladder as quickly as possible and make as much money while I was doing it, because financial security wasn't something that was easily accessible to us when they first immigrated here. So that being in that corporate scene, it fueled my action and my belief system in order to meet those goalposts that I created for myself and that definition of success. Now that I've transitioned into being an entrepreneur and really diving into my passion to help others truly be able to get more out of their career that I'm going to say they damn right deserve.
Absolutely.
My definition of success is very much now doing the work that I love and having the impact, that positive impact on the people that I work with while I'm doing it. And don't get me wrong, I still value money. I still would, it's very much part of my goals, but it's not my definition of success any longer.
It's beautiful to see how that really changed for you from money and title and moving up the corporate ladder, which I think a lot of us, when we get out of college or out of school and start our careers, that's what we think success is. And that's what a lot of us define success at. And then as we grow older, sometimes we realize that, money is important. We all need to get paid. Otherwise, most of us probably wouldn't work. But that there is another level to feeling successful. And that is what you just said, doing work that you love and having a positive impact on people, which at the end of the day, you're not just taking a paycheck home, but you're also taking a good feeling, a positive feeling about the impact that you made home.
Yeah, and you know the Sunday scaries that we all know very well. Like it's a coin term for a reason.
Yeah.
I no longer have that, right? Being able to be so connected and passionate and purpose driven with the work that you do, and this is my experience. I get so excited for Monday, right? It's like you almost have to pull me away from the work that I'm doing because I'm that enthralled in it. And this is a completely new experience for me. Don't get me wrong, while I was in corporate, the thrill of the challenge excited me, right? Like the actual act of climbing up that ladder, so to
Yes.
speak, right? And reaching those milestones along the way. Yeah, it was exciting and I found it challenging, and I love continuously stepping outside of my comfort zone to do so and have those difficult conversations and lean into networking strategically in order to be able to advance my career. But it's different. Like when you can really lean into passion, and finding passion in what you do doesn't necessarily need to be you leaving corporate altogether.
Right.
Right?
Yes. But it's so important to get to know what's important to you, and then finding a career that aligns and meets those values that are at your core.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And that right there is that's it right there.
Yes. Yeah, it's great to see how your view on success has changed so much over the years. And I do think that is empowering for our audience to hear that we don't have to define success by money and title. We can, nothing wrong with it, but that it's also okay to add other measures to that are personally important to you. For someone else, that might be work-life balance. For some of us, that might be flexibility. And that can be individual to everyone, but there's not a one-size-fits-all, and absolutely nothing wrong if those measures of success aren't the ones that drive you.
You're so right. And just listening to yesterday's with Yauhan on the values, it's exactly that, right, Teresa? It's figuring out what's important to you and realizing that what's important to you today, it's okay if it's not the same thing that was important to you 10 years ago or 5 years ago, right? Or even last year. It's being present in the moment of having those reflection periods to really check in with yourself.
Yes, I love that. And I see the audience dropping in hellos here. I would love to hear from the audience, what is a thing that you measure success by? There's no right or wrong answers. Drop something in the chat. Do you measure by success by the impact you make, by the enjoyment you get out of work? Is it by money? Is it by title? Is it by flexibility? What's an important measure of success for you? And we have Mark here tuned in. Great to see you. We have Manjula turning in. Love that you're here. And hi, Andrew. He is also from Canada. So great to see all of you here.
Love it.
And I know that you have worked in a very male-dominated industry. So diving deeper into networking specifically, I wonder if you have advice on how women can advance their career, especially in a form of networking, when those women work in very male-dominated industries.
Oh, such a good question. Honestly, I'm a straight shooter, so I'm just going to say exactly what I'm thinking here. As women, we need to get out of our head. We truly need to cut that narrative that we're creating for ourselves as to what's holding us back from making that connection or request, right? From sending that, hey, would you like to go grab a coffee? It's what is happening in your mind in real time that's stopping you from going ahead and actually implementing a networking strategy for yourself. So often, and I did this, so I'm in the same camp. We create these excuses as to why the individual may not want to. Oh, they're too senior. They're not going to want to sit down with me to share a cup of coffee and to talk about career advancement opportunities. They're too busy, or I feel very uncomfortable. They have no idea who I am. The list goes on and on about the stories and the narratives that we create for ourselves. Why not put a pin in that and allow them to tell you whether they can or cannot. You can't control someone's reaction, but you can absolutely control what you put out there. And there's no way that you can actually lean in to all of the benefits that networking can do for you if you don't actually do that first step by leaning in, right?
That was absolutely yes. And what you said is that we play so much in our head and we often don't even notice it. But everything you said, like, oh, they're way too senior, or they would never talk to me, they're way too busy, like, who am I? They probably don't even know me, and I'm really not that important. Like, why would they take time to talk to me? Oh, I played all of those in my head. And I still sometimes do, and I have to catch myself. But that is the inner dialogue we have. And when we keep saying that to ourselves, that's our reality, right? If I tell myself, like, who am I to talk to them? Or like, they're way too busy and senior to take time out of their day to meet with me, that becomes the reality, because then we're going to never reach out. And maybe when we reach out to them, there could be someone will tell us no. And that will happen. But we might get 5 yeses as well. And what a huge success of not stopping ourselves from even giving us that opportunities and taking that chance.
Exactly. And like you said, it happens to us even now. And the more you practice that self-awareness piece, right? If you're going out there trying to network and build connections, you could be doing it for many reasons, right? I have my reasons now on the entrepreneur side of things, and I had my reasons in corporate, right? It's not always going to be one reason. It's actually going to be a diverse set of reasons. Allow yourself to flirt and get creative with it. Have fun. This is an opportunity to get to know people. Think about it without a workplace environment label set to it, and you're at a party and you're mingling with friends, and there's no like this heavy weight or expectation.
Yeah.
Chances are you're a lot more inclined to strike up a conversation with someone you don't know, and you're not placing that heavy narrative.
That is so true.
Right?
Yeah.
If there's a way that you can approach networking in your career in that type of fashion, or at least have the ability to catch yourself when you're not leaning in and reframe that thought. Wait a second, is this me going off again and creating this story for myself, or do I actually know this to be true, right? And where's the proof?
Yeah. And Natalie, what you said just rings so true. Like, for me, setting up the 12 days of career goals, because I did have that talk. Like, so the idea happened last Wednesday. In the beginning, I had that. So, and huge shout out to Diana. She's been such an amazing mentor throughout setting this up. And she is like, oh, I'll connect to these and these and these people, invite them as speaker. And my first thought was like, who am I to reach out to these people? Who would come onto my 12 days of career goals? And then I was like, well, what if I just take a chance and start a conversation with them? And without doing that, I would have never gotten amazing speakers like you, Natalie, like Sweta, Regmi, who's joining us, Lorraine K, who's going to be there on Saturday, Tiffany, Uman, Jasmine, Escalera, and Linda Lee. So if I would have stopped myself at my thought of like, who am I to put up a 12-day of career goals series? This all would not be happening. And one piece that was for me was when I had that thought, I was like, what is my why? And my big why is I want to give back this holiday season. It's the season of giving. And what can I do to help people who want to advance in their career, who want to make a meaningful shift, to help them achieve that? And that was so much more important to me than my negative self-talk. And I was like, I'm just going to take a chance. And I've asked people, and some of them were not available, and that is perfectly fine. But within 3 days, we lined up the most amazing and incredible line of speakers. And that all happened because I got out of my head.
Exactly. I love it. And honestly, and I was there. We had our first conversation.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, I'm thinking about putting this event together. Would you be? I'm like, yes, I'm interested. Sign me up right away. And that's the thing. Allow the person that you're asking to let you know where their headspace is at.
Yeah.
Don't make the assumptions, because you really, honestly, you never know. And generally speaking, in all of my examples in networking in corporate, people like to share about their own story, what worked for them, what didn't work. Humans like to talk about themselves, just like period, right? Like it just happens more naturally.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's shocking how many connection requests and networking opportunities I got in front of with leaders in my organization that I never thought for a single second would take me up on it. Yeah.
True. And I want to go into a very related idea of the imposter syndrome, which is something I think most of us experience at some point in our lives. Could you share your insights on how professionals can overcome this while building their network?
Absolutely. I mean, when I think of imposter syndrome, to me, it's all about, we feel it the most. First of all, it happens to all of us. So let's just set the record straight. It happens to everyone. And as common as it is, from my experience, and I'd love to get your opinion, I feel it the most when I'm about to do something that I'm stepping outside of my comfort zone, right? It feels a little bit new. It feels different. I don't have a ton of experience that I can draw on. And that equates to lower confidence in the moment before I'm about to do something. So it creates this heavy feeling, what is often coined as, oh, I'm just not good enough, right? That like typical imposter syndrome narrative.
Yeah.
And how do you get more comfortable? You simply just start doing it, right? So if you have a built up fear, right? This fear of stepping outside of your comfort zone, not being good enough, whatever that narrative is, if you just start leaning into it, each time you do it, it's going to get easier. It's going to get more comfortable. You're going to find your groove in communication and how you actually, how you ask for certain things, how you follow up. And I promise you, the person you're speaking to is not taking notes and criticizing your every move, every word, every pause. They're there. If they agree to have this conversation with you, whether it's over a coffee or whatever, a Zoom chat, whatever it is, it's because they want to help. And if they didn't want to help, they wouldn't have accepted it. So you need to lean into it from a support system perspective to get the most of it. Here's your valuable time with them. Make the most. Ask the questions that you really need to ask to understand how you can do something better, or understand, the next opportunity that you can lean into. Make the most of it by being comfortable in your own skin. And the way you end up doing that is you just lean into that experience more and more often.
So true, Natalie. I always think of it because it stops me sometimes as well. And it's right, like when we're in our comfort zone, that's where we feel comfortable. And when we step outside of that comfort zone, that's when the imposter syndrome comes in. And you're like, oh, I'm not good enough. But being aware of that, of like, okay, I have this feeling now because I'm stepping out of my comfort zone, which equates to growth, right? Like, as long as we're staying in our comfort zone, we're happy and might be happy and comfortable there, but we're not growing. Or maybe we're not happy there. But we're comfortable. But once we get uncomfortable, that's when the growth happens. And it's also not like you don't have to, on day one, reach out to the CEO of your dream company. You don't have to take this huge step, but who is one person who could give some professional insights? Maybe it's a friend of a friend, maybe it's a colleague. And then you take that first step. And then when you're like, oh, this was a great conversation, you ask them, do you know anyone else I could talk to? And they can introduce you to someone else. And then you take that next step. And by the time you know it, you're well outside your comfort zone and you've grown so much.
You're so right. You hit the nail on the head with that one. Start small, right? As you're building up your experience with networking and putting yourself out there, exactly. Don't go to the CEO of the company on your first conversation that you're trying to reach out to. Start with a peer, right? It really is, the baby steps matter here. They're all small wins that impact that networking strategy that is truly going to help you continue to build those relationships, which adds to your visibility across the whole organization. And that is huge.
I love that you mentioned visibility, because that is so important to be visible and not put your head down and work hard and hope that someone recognizes it, but to have conversations about what you do, and as you get to know others, they'll get to know you.
100%. People can't help you if A, they don't know who you are, or B, they don't know how that they can help you, right? It's getting comfortable with the uncomfortable, right? And I love using that line. And there's to your point, there's so much growth in that opportunity. You just need to trust yourself that you're going to figure it out and you'll be okay. And release this expectation of this perfectionism around it.
Yes.
No one's perfect, right?
No one is perfect.
It's okay. It's okay if you don't feel like that networking chat went 100% the way that you scripted it in your head. It's okay.
Yeah.
What learnings do you have coming out of it? Even one learning, even one tidbit that you learned, even one new connection, you're still much further ahead than you were before you did it, right?
I love that. So true. Yes. It's the small wins that add up in the end to a big win.
Yeah, 100%.
Natalie, I hear so many times from people that, and we're all busy, like right now it's the holiday season. I haven't even started getting any gifts yet. So we're all multitasking, juggling all the various roles in our lives. And people say, I'm just too busy to network. I can't do it. Yeah. How do you integrate networking into your busy schedule without totally overwhelming yourself?
Yeah, great question, especially this time of year. The way that I think about it is it a priority to you or not? And if it is, you make time for it, right? So when I look at the priorities in my life, my family, I've been trying to really over the past year get back into my fitness game, my career, right? Like launching this business and if the important things in my life that I am categorizing as a priority, I make time for. And recognizing how much networking has benefited me and just allowed me to truly be connected with a strong support system and encourage my own growth, the potential that others see in you motivates you to be able to meet their expectation, or not even expectation, but vision that they see for you. I get a high off of that energy. And if I feel so good after networking and building my connections and my people around me, I'm sure as hell going to prioritize that in my day-to-day. And maybe what comes off the list, maybe the Netflix binging, right? Or something else that takes our time away from being productive during the day that feeds our soul. Not to say, honestly, like I love Netflix binging like anyone else, don't get me wrong, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. And it's not like you don't have to spend 50 hours a week on it.
Exactly.
If you set aside 30 minutes or 1 hour a week, that's huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that you shared making it a priority. That is really, really important. And I'm definitely one of the people who's like, my schedule is just too busy. I don't have time. But as you said, it's like, okay, what are my priorities and what's really important for me to accomplish? And having important conversations with people is part of it.
Yeah.
And then you schedule it into your day like you do everything else.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if it's it, and I always view networking as a chance of really getting to know people, but also what's the purpose of the networking? I always have that lens, like what's my why? When I'm connecting with Teresa, like what benefits, what gain is there potentially outside of us being able to support each other and grow with each other and learn from each other? And like, I start to think about what I can bring to the table also, and I anchor my why going into the conversation. So I always have a view as to how I can shape and make the most out of the time spent together.
I love that, Natalie, to go in with your why. And your why doesn't have to be, I'm going to want to find a job. It can be, but it can also be, I want to learn from that. That can be a really big why. And there are so many whys to go into conversation with that you might encourage you to take that step outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah, exactly.
Natalie, that was such incredible advice you shared with us. How can people get in touch with you?
Thank you so much. My favorite social platform is LinkedIn. So definitely reach out, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd love to chat with you. I'm also on Instagram, and you can visit my website.
You definitely should connect with Natalie on LinkedIn. She shares amazing advice. So make sure that you follow her on LinkedIn. Visit her website. It is a treasure trove of great advice and tips. And thank you, Natalie, so much for being here today on day 4. It was an incredible, insightful conversation, and your experience and tips are so important for anyone who wants to build or enhance their professional network. So thank you for sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Teresa, for putting this on. I'm so happy to be a part of this wonderful event, and I appreciate you. And I know that this is not the end of us connecting.
No,
this is just the beginning. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So hope everyone has a lovely holiday, and yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for being here, Natalie. Wasn't that just an absolutely incredible conversation we just had with Natalie? I literally took so much away from it. First, Natalie shared that success does not have to equate to title and money. It can, but it can also mean that that success means to you having a positive impact on people, doing work that you love. There are so many other factors to success. And I also love that Natalie shared with us that when you face that imposter syndrome and you feel uncomfortable starting to network, that you recognize that and then start to get out of your head and notice what's going on in your mind and all the excuses you create that these other people are too busy, too senior, too important, and all of that, that those are just thoughts in your head and they are not reality. And only when you actually ask the question of, do you want to meet up for a coffee chat? Do you want to have a lunch together? Then you allow them to make their own decisions and their answers. And they might say yes and surprise you. So you just got to get comfortable doing it. Because it's the baby steps that we take that really lead up to the big results, right? As Natalie said, we don't have to start with the CEO on day 1, but who is one person that you can talk to next week? And I love networking during the holiday seasons because it's so easy. When we haven't talked to someone for a while, we can just send them a holiday message. Hey, I hope you had a good year. Just thought about you during the holiday season and wanted to send you some warm wishes. They are very likely to reply back to that, and you can start a conversation with someone you haven't talked to for a while. And as Natalie said, the key is to make it a priority. You have to make it a priority, put it in your schedule so that it will actually happen. So remember that networking is really a skill that you can develop and refine. It's not something you have to be an expert today in. You can learn it, and it will really help you achieve career success. And also a reminder that today, this incredible conversation was only day 4 of the 12 days of career goals. So I highly encourage you to sign up and get the daily link for our daily live events. We have still 8 more sessions to go and have such incredible speakers lined up. And when you register on the 12 days of career goals, you can scan the barcode or go to bit.ly 12 days of career goals. That is cut off here, but let me find the link to drop it in here. There we go. When you sign up at bit.ly 12 days of career goals, you are not only getting the link to the daily live event for those 12 days, but you are automatically entered into the drawing to win the ultimate resume upgrade. And that literally means I'm writing a brand new resume for you. It's something I've never done before, and I probably never will do again to give that away for free. But I really want to give back this holiday season. So this is why that is the grand prize. You can also win a one-on-one deep dive coaching session with me. That is if you're looking for career clarity. If you want to know what your next career step should look like for you to feel fulfilled, for it to be meaningful, then you definitely want to enter. And for the one, I'm also raffling off a standout LinkedIn profile, and that is me doing a complete overhaul on your LinkedIn profile so that your professional presence shines and really attracts recruiters to your profile. And I have a brand new book that I sell. It's the Ultimate Transferable Skills, guys. It helps you figure out what your transferable skills are. And I make it easy and step-by-step so that within a couple of minutes, you have a list of your top transferable skills that you want to center your next career step around. So if you want to win any of these absolutely amazing prizes, make sure that you are heading to bit.ly 12 days of career goals and register for this amazing series. It is free. Invite your friends, family along so they don't miss out on this incredible series. I can't wait to see all of you back here tomorrow. And we're going to dive into day 5 tomorrow. Bye for now. Have you ever wondered how some professionals seem to navigate their careers with such precision and success? Do you sometimes find yourself wondering who guides these individuals, shaping their choices and propelling them forward? The secret often lies in having a mentor, someone who not just guides them, but also inspires them and challenges them to reach new heights. In today's episode of the 12 Days of Career Goals, we're going to dive into the transformative power of mentorship and how that can change a successful career. We'll explore the nuances of how to find a mentor, how to nurture that relationship, and uncover the strategies to forge connections that can actually last and propel careers. So get ready to uncover the secrets of finding your career mentor and transforming your professional path. Hello and welcome to day 5. I'm Teresa White, career clarity coach and the founder of Career Bloom. And today I have the absolute privilege of talking with Sweta Regmi. Sweta is the founder and CEO of Teach and Do, a top career expert and a renowned voice in career development coaching. Her insights have been featured in major outlets such as CBC National, Global National, CNBC, WSJ, Daily Mail, and Forbes, just to name a few. She's also an acclaimed author with her book, 21 Resilient Women, becoming an Amazon bestseller and has been endorsed widely across Canada. Her journey from an immigrant to a leader in the Canadian job market is nothing short of inspiring. She's here to share her insights on how finding the right career mentor can be a game changer. Let's welcome Sweta.
Hello, hello. How are you? Thank you so much for inviting me. It's such an honor to be here today with you.
Thank you for being here. It is an honor to have you here, and I'm so excited to talk to you about mentorship. Oh, and we have some comments in the chat already. Would love to see who is here in the audience. Drop a hi in the chat and let us know where you're tuning in from. And before we dive right into the big topic of mentorship, and I'm so excited to talk about it, but we're right in the middle of the holiday seasons, and I want to start off with asking, what is your favorite thing about the holiday season?
Just sweets, not watching diet and just having those sweet. I do have sweet teeth, and oh my god, it's I'm loving it right now. So I cannot literally warn my kids not to touch it because I am indulging on it.
It's like the best thing because you're allowed to do that in December, right?
Yeah, no guilt, nothing.
Favorite.
Yeah.
What's your favorite sweets?
Anything that that they should look like cookies, and if there's coconut in it, I'm sold.
Oh my God. I'm like coconut and chocolate is like, that is mine. Oh,
Yes.
so good. Well, we have more weeks of holiday time and more enjoying sweets. So that is awesome.
10 more pounds, and we're going to shred this in New Year.
We'll put that on our 2024 goal list that we're going to shred all of that again.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, I love seeing Deborah tuning in, Andrew being here. Great to see everyone. And let's dive right into mentorship. But I want to start with your journey, especially how mentorship played a role in your successful transition and growth in the Canadian job market when you started as an immigrant to where you are now.
Absolutely. Thanks for asking that. And I think you're just reminding me of so many years ago. Mentorship was not even well known around that time. What was the mentor all about, right? So I think I didn't have any mentor back then as a young immigrant who lived all our life in different countries. The mentorship for me was just my husband. I was newly married and he was in US, and I flew with him, and he was actually my mentor. He came in as an international student in States, Minneapolis. That's what I was for a bit. And then I think I was unemployed. I was a housewife for a bit. And then when we moved to Canada, that's when everything hit me hard. I was like, okay, what am I going to do? Who is going to be my mentor? I didn't even know what the mentorship was back then. But when I were to self-reflect back, I think I am who I am today because of, I think, initially my husband. We just celebrated our 23rd anniversary recently, right? So, and then I did have a really great mentor throughout in my corporate days. And we can talk about that a little bit later on. I'll bring some lived and tested experience, what worked and what did not work for me.
I love hearing that. And your story is just so inspiring. And I love that you also bring up, it doesn't have to be an external, like someone you don't know today. It can be your husband and can be a close person who supports you through that growth.
Absolutely. And I think when someone is there already living that life that you want to live in, you definitely want to look it up, and you don't have to go out there and look for someone who's working in the corporate world. I think when you are thinking about mentor, what we think about is someone old, someone really pretty up there, and you want to be them. But I think hierarchy is really important when you're choosing the mentor. And we can talk about that a little bit later on when it comes to career mentor. But like my mentor was more kind of like the career, mixed up emotions and personal lives and everything that really helped me stand out in Canadian job market. And that was definitely my husband to begin with.
That is amazing. And Sweta, the first question I always get from people when we talk about mentorship is, how can I find a mentor? So what advice do you have for professionals who are seeking to establish a mentor and mentee relationship? And how could they possibly approach finding a potential mentor?
Absolutely. So I wanted to put the disclaimer out there. There's no one size fits all, at least in my opinion, when you're trying to pick the mentor. Of course, there's a right way to pick it and wrong way to pick it. So for me personally, I looked at my SWOT, which is strength, weaknesses, opportunity, and threat. And I wanted to focus on something that I can control, which is the strength and weakness part, my areas of personal development. So sometimes what you also need is, we're thinking about this right now, is mentors are someone who we just want to talk about it when it comes to our weaknesses. How do we go about navigating around that? So I think I was definitely not only working on my weaknesses, areas of opportunity. I really wanted to find out the mentors who are going to validate my expertise and my strength as well, even make it better. So mentors are a different kind, right? So when you're a recent grad, your mentors probably are going to be quite different than when you start to work in the corporate ladder, when you want that leadership role, when you want to go on to the executive role. Some mentor criteria would be something that you really have to revisit as well. So this is where I'd be very cautious about it, picking the right mentor. Just don't have like really a lot of gap. Let's say if you're a recent grad and you want to go into the corporate world and let's say financial sector right now, you want to possibly look into the previous grad and how they got there. probably that's one step at a time, right? So small thing to go on to the longer term. And if you want to be management material a little bit later on, you want to hone in that leadership skills, let's say in a corporate world, and you're not leading a team right now, then you probably want to go and talk to the new hire who just got into the management role as well. So one step at a time. So it depends on where you are in your career and what kind of strength that you bring in and what you need to work on based on the hard skills and soft skills to climb up the ladder. That's going to be, we're going to be talking about that today.
That is such great insight that you don't have to start with the top. You can really take it one step at a time. And I often recommend looking for someone who does the work you would love to do. Would you agree with that? That those
Absolutely.
are people who guide you?
Absolutely. And I know throughout my life when I was looking at someone to be mentee, I really looked up to someone who has lived my experience. So that way, not only I want to be them one day, plus I literally can feel what they're feeling like when they go there, and then they can feel my emotion right now. And it's really important for me to make sure that they empathize with my situation, because a lot of time when you're looking at the mentor and they're not emotionally connected, sometimes it's going to be very hard for you to actually get ahead. That's my personal opinion. So if I were to look at, let's say, as an immigrant who moved in Canada so many years ago, and if I wanted to go in a leadership role, I wanted to go talk to the people like me, South Asian person sometimes, right? And then go and say, how did you get there? I want to get there someday, right? So that way I can relate, they can understand my journey, my hurdles, and race factors into some time. But that does not mean that you just go out there and mentor, get the mentorship from your kind of people only. You have to have a diverse mentorship. So sometimes not only looking up, right, the flat, which is your colleagues could be one of them as well. You can choose them as a mentor. Sometimes looking down as well. And as a matter of fact, when I was really wanting to go on a TikTok, let's say, for, doing that video content and everything, I had nobody to look it up to. And then I looked to my son, who's 16 years old, who's like, who doesn't post anything, but he has an idea about what's going on, what are the market like, right? So he was kind of like my mentee, guiding me, editing my videos and stuff like that. So mentor does not have to be just like up only, but you would learn so much from the bottom level mentor as well. So give it that thought too.
That's such a great thought that even a younger person can mentor you. And it's about finding the people who can do something you want to learn. Like your son, he's the younger generation, they are all over social media. So they can teach a lot of things that might not come as natural to us as they come to them as they grew up with it.
And this is why we're going to talk about this, right? So when it comes to choosing the mentor, it does not always have to be, I want to get that promotion, right? So what are the skills that you're missing that you can hone in? So let's say that if you want to be very good at presentations, and that's what happened to me in corporate world, English is not my first language. So whenever there's a presentation coming up in a pipeline, I would just shy away from it. I would not put my hands up. And later on, I decided to sit in and see the people who are really good at presenting, public speaking and whatnot. Then I chose to partner with them and then seek the feedback and hire them as a mentor, potentially in a coffee chat or something like that. And I told them my insecurity, right? You got to be very comfortable too. And you got to be able to trust them as well, saying that, I have these kind of insecurity. How do I overcome that? Can you stand on my presentation? Can you sit aside, let's say, right? Are you okay with that? And then later on, give me the feedback as well. What was my did well and do differently, right? So those are the route that you can go by as well, small step at a time. And it could involve the hard skills and soft skills at the time. It does not always have to be, I want to get next promotion. I want to get hired too. So take a look at your inventory of skills and see where you're lacking and pick mentors based on your skills as well. Sometimes it's worth it.
I really appreciate that you brought up that it has to be someone that you can be vulnerable with and can share those insecurities. Because if you pick a mentor that you don't feel you can open up to, it is hard to talk about the areas you want to get better in. Like, I relate to public speaking. English is not my first language either, and that is a challenge for us. And unless I can open up to someone, it is really hard to seek help. So finding someone you feel comfortable with is a really important factor.
Absolutely. And when it comes to, let's say, climbing up on the ladder, there is a different way to do it as well, right? Are you trying to climb up the ladder internally, right? Or you want to quit and go somewhere else that you feel like I'm no longer earning and learning, right? Two categories. I'm not earning, I'm not learning. So what do you want to do? Do you want to earn more? Do you want to learn more, right? So as soon as you feel like you're not earning and learning, it's time to probably self-reflect and see, all right, I want to move up or I want to quit and go out. And quitting is not a bad thing. And we got to make sure that we unlearn these things, which is winners never quit. I've quit twice, right? And I probably would not have quit if I didn't really have a good mentors to guide me, saying that I don't think it's the right role for you. I think it's time for you to quit, and here's how you do it. So you need to have those mentors who's going to hold you accountable. When are you going to quit? When are you going to quit? Let's do this, right? And I've quit twice, so I think you have to have those people who are going to see some talent in you that you don't even see it yourself and push you. Mentors are not the one who's going to do the work for you. Let me get it very straight. You are the one who's going to execute it, right? They're there who's already lived the experience, and they're going to say, it's going to be okay. I've done it. Look at me, kind of thing, right? So they're the one who's going to show you what's possible. And that's, to me, is a great mentorship.
Yeah. And as you said, you have to do the work as the mentee. And when you approach a mentorship with that mindset of like, I'm willing to do the work, I'm looking for someone to guide me, but I'm willing to do the work, your chances of finding mentors are so much greater, because it's exciting to mentor someone who actually wants to grow and learn and do the work.
Absolutely. And I normally volunteer in particular organizations, like partner with the other people out there in organization as well. In fact, I was doing this for 6 months. We just wrapped it up in October. I had a couple of mentees, university grad, and they were already working, and they were not clear on the career clarity. So system actually picked it up, and then they assigned me a couple of mentee, and I learned so much from them. The reason I didn't have to do it, because recent graduates are not my market at all, right? But I chose to do it because I really wanted to see what these organizations are teaching, university colleges teaching. Why are people not able to bounce back soon, right? So for that, I saw their resume, the way they talk in interview, like the personal branding on social media, whatnot. And I learned so much as a mentor, as much as they learned so much from me. And then one of the mentor was so amazing. She executed everything. She attended my free masterclass. She looked at my videos and YouTube and everything. We had a structure in place, and she executed it. And the surprise thing was later on, when the mentorship wrapped up, I didn't know this girl at all, and we had great bonding. And the funny part was, she went from zero clarity to now she has a clarity. Her branding is done by herself, based on the mentorship we had. And she flipped a recommendation for me on LinkedIn profile. I was like, what? I didn't even ask, right? So I felt so good about it. Okay, even though it was free, I impacted her, career somehow. And sometimes you really want to go out there and boost that relationship with the mentors as well by doing the right thing. If you learn something, don't forget to go and offer that gratitude too. And we tend to forget about it when it's free. But this is the holiday season right now. I want you to go back and thank people who is making impact in your life. And I've done that all the time. You don't have to buy them gift card. You don't have to do anything. All thank you matters, like DM out there in social media, right? This is who you are. These things cannot be taught. And if you want to be someone who is looking for that next promotions, guess who's going to look after you? These are the mentors, right? So have that long relationship, because mentorship is not about right now. It would be short term, depending on your commitment. I've never mentored someone more than 6 months, 3 to 6 months, right? And then they're their own way. I'm going in my own way. But I would definitely think about them if they keep on touch, if they keep on coming back to me with the advice or the tips, anything like that, right? So don't forget that they're there for you forever, but what are you going to do about it too, right? Relationship matters.
Oh, I love that you brought up gratitude, especially as you said during the holiday season. I actually love the holiday season to pick up relationships that we haven't talked to in a while, because it is so easy around this time. If you had someone in the past who impacted your career, to send them a note and say, hey, it's the holidays. I've been thinking about you and how grateful I am for how you helped me learn this or how you helped me grow there. And who would not appreciate such a thoughtful message around this time, anytime, but especially around this time?
Absolutely. And it's been great right now, to be honest, Risa, right? When we were climbing up the ladder, corporate ladder, there were no social media, LinkedIn, stuff like that. And you don't even have to talk to people inside the organizations. You can talk to people outside who you look up to. If you wanted to go and work for the top companies, they're on your list. If they're posting content, you gotta go and support them, right? So I see a lot of DMs sitting in my pile saying that I love your work, right? But and I'm thinking, and I would promote your work and everything, but I never see them coming in my content and talking about it. So when you're praising, the leadership rule here is, as a mentee as well, I always tell people, if you really like somebody else's work, go out there and on a rooftop and scream. That's what you should be doing, because you're so proud to celebrate that. You show up for people, right? So this is so important right now for people who are looking for a mentor. If they are producing content, if you find some article, they're part of it, the interview, anything like that, most easy thing is to be genuine about it, authentic about it, and just show up and say, hey, that was a great work. This was my 3 takeaway, right? And a lot of people don't think about that. They just hide behind that DM and start to communicate. But it takes a lot of time for people to answer those questions. Nobody owes you that free time, right? You should not be entitled. You should make them feel that, oh, this person actually needs my advice. I would not mind them, making my mentee, because let's be very real. I mean, we don't have time, right? 24/7 to mentor somebody. You got to stand out for people to take you in a mentorship journey.
And you just touched on that. There is often it's being said that mentor-mentee relationships should be mutually beneficial, but I think often mentees can feel like, what can I contribute? What do I have to give? Especially if the other person is more senior. How, in your opinion, can mentees build and maintain mutually beneficial relationships with their mentors?
And I think, so I've had situation like that where in a corporate world where I had mentor who were pretty up there, senior leadership, right? So I would just ask them, hey, what's the project you're working on it? Is there something that you feel that, you need my tips or advice on it? I would love to actually see the project and see where there's a missing gap on it, right? So I learned so much from it, but then they learned so much from that as well. So don't be like that where you feel that you are not able to help those people out, especially on senior leadership, right? They're human at the end of the day. They're vulnerable too. Just ask them, how can I help you? Even let's say one of the example that I want to bring in is when there was something happening in the pipeline, I didn't even know the project was coming in, and I was passed on the project just because it was between the leadership meeting that I said it, that I'm willing to take that task on, right? So you have to initiate and say, I'm willing to take these kind of tasks on because I can bring the expertise on it. So people can't read your mind. Mentor can't read your mind either. So make it very clear what you want and say, I need your support. Whenever there's a room full of opportunity, can you put my name in the hat, right? You're not demanding. You are saying that you have that talent and they can help you out as well. And that's what the mentor should do as well.
That's such an important point, is that mentors can't read your mind, and no one really can. Unless you ask, they don't know that you are looking for a mentor. Unless you ask, they don't know that you're looking for opportunities to do more of a certain, to take on more projects, do more difficult tasks, work at more complex projects. You have to ask, you really have to spell it out. Otherwise, and I think especially women, we tend to be like, oh, don't they see I'm working hard, and shouldn't they automatically give me opportunities? But we actually have to speak about it. This is what I really want to grow in, and I'm looking for opportunities so that others have the chance to help us.
Absolutely. And the mentorship process is not making sure you're going to be overwhelmed sometimes. And when are you going to be overwhelmed is when you have that gap in hierarchy. Remember, if you're a manager and you want the executive as a mentor, possibly it's not going to work for you, because executive thinking is different way than, leading. The way they lead the team is going to be completely different than the new manager who's just trying to get that leadership skills building up, right? So you probably want to look into the mentors as a senior managers. That way you understand, how do they move up, and what are the lessons learned, right? So again, there's nothing wrong with having that hierarchy on top, which is I want to be mentored by executive. But I personally have felt that when you are working with the executive, they're on go, go, go. And if you're not the person who is really, who has, let's say, that skills of high level, then it's going to be hard. So you have to continuously go around picking the right mentor to get the best out of mentorship, in my opinion.
I absolutely agree. And it's also, every manager has a different leadership style.
Yes.
And that was something that was really important in my career, of learning from different leaders and managers, no matter if I was working under them or I was being mentored by them, to see the things that I want to do when I become a manager and the things I might not want to do when I become a manager. And I'm wondering, from that perspective, how important do you find it is to have mentors also from diverse backgrounds and industries? And what unique advantages can they bring to a mentee's career development?
Absolutely. So for the mentor who want to be mentor, let's say, I chose to be mentor for a bit, but then you really have to put the time and commitment as well, right? So you want to decide on quantity and quality, how many times you want to meet as well. And do you have that time limit as well, right? Do you want to do it on office hour, or are you flexible to do it after too? So define your need as well when it comes to mentoring somebody. And I don't mentor anyone after hours or weekend or something, because I chose to. So that might not work with the other mentee who do not have that much work-life balance. So define what works for you and have that calibrations before you start the mentorship sessions, because last thing you want to do is dismiss their concern as well, right? So that's the first step that I learned throughout the mentorship process. The second stage is plan the sessions, structure it, right? Just because you know so much, that doesn't mean that the person would want to learn from you, right? So ask them, why are they choosing you as a mentor? What are the things that they want to learn? Top 3 takeaway from this mentorship sessions, and then hold them accountable for it, which is, all right, next week, we're going to go with the branding. All right, this is what I want you to do. These are the resources and materials that I have. Look it up. And then we're going to go and see how I'm going to audit, let's say, your LinkedIn profile or resume, whatever it is, right? So now the ball is in their court, their court, right? So make sure you're holding them accountable and give them a SMART goal as well. So being vague about, I want you to work on this, but no resources for them to work on it, and not holding them accountable next time you meet in, I think that defeats the purpose as well, because you're equally committing at that time for yourself and the mentee as well, right? Just commit yourself and do the right thing for a mentee as well. And if you see something that it's bothering you, honestly, call it out, because that's why you're their mentor, right? And it's up to them to work it or not. And that's been my strategy. It's been working so far.
That is really, really great. And how do you see a benefit or a downside to it if they are in the same industry or a different industry? Do you have an opinion on finding mentors from the same company or outside of the company?
I would think it depends again, there's no right or wrong answer for it. I think it depends on what you both want, right? Mm-hmm. Some mentors are so talented in their industry, they have no clue about the other industry. And maybe they're trying to learn from the different industry as well, right? So are they seeking that as well? Remember, mentee and mentorship is all about learning from one another, right? It's not only mentoring it. So, and the mentee, when it comes to it, are they okay with going and getting the advice from people who are not a part of the industry as well? Are you comfortable with it, right? Personally, me, if I wanted to pivot, I would probably go and then find out the industry they're in, where I want to pivot. And I've done that personally. That worked for me. But if I'm not pivoting, I would probably stay with the same kind of industry, the people who really have a good niche and market as well. So I'm going to look into the expertise of them. And that worked for me, right? It depends on where you are in your career. Pivoting, different industry, not pivoting. And if you wanted to learn more about that person or that organization, is probably sticking with the same industry. And that's my opinion.
I agree, absolutely. And I do think that it's great to know that you have both of these options. And there's a big difference of finding a mentor within the same company who can really help you grow in that company, or finding a mentor outside of that company who might be able to help you make a career transition or can give you an outside perspective into an area that you want to grow into.
Absolutely. And that's where we come in, right? And you don't have to just go out there and look for people anymore, because there are a lot of organizations, and anyone who wants to look into let's say in Canada, especially if in Canada, anyone who is looking for a mentor, a free mentorship, anything like that, there's a lot of good organizations that I was part of it. Send me DM as well. I'll send you the link. And good part about this organization, I didn't even know they get the free LinkedIn Learning, guys. I was like, wow, right? Yes. And that's something I found out when my mentee said it. And I was pushing LinkedIn Learning courses for certain things and everything. She's like, yeah, I get it for free. I'm like, great, right? So you got to think about it too. What do you get out of it too, right? It's not only time and those things, but what do you get? Free resources? Who doesn't want the LinkedIn Learning? So anyone in Canada, if you want to be part of mentorship, and I'm not affiliated with them at all, I just completed my mentorship program with them, and I'll send you the link, and maybe they're taking you in. I don't know. You got to do the research.
That's such an incredible resource. And I know there are certain ones in the US as well. I volunteered with first generation college students as mentor as well. But I also know there's mentorship programs for moms returning to the workforce, and for so many different niches, there are different mentorship programs, and it can be such a great opportunity to take advantage of them.
Absolutely. And your colleges, university would most probably have it already. You want to probably go and seek that in as well, and try to go into their college portal, career services, and find out if there's any free career mentorship going on. Sometimes there's a long term, there's a short term as well. So the homework is with you. Do you want to go start from the colleges if you're in the recent graduate? I had a couple of, let's say, mentee who already graduated so many years ago, and I was mentoring them. I thought they were a recent graduate, right? And they were already in the industry, but they were looking for someone like me who's like, who's into this industry, saying that, okay, well, I want to learn more about the personal branding, career strategy, and everything. So there are a lot of people, mentors like me, who have lived their experience, and they're inside these portfolio building the mentee as well. And I wanted to be really cautious about those mentors who are just going to be using the mentor for their resume as well, because I've seen that. So I know a lot of mentors, let's say sometimes I'm not a lot of mentors, sometimes when they're unemployed, they put that mentorship as an employment kind of thing. So there's no accountability there. They're building their brand as well at the same time, right? So I'd be very cautious about it. Why are they doing the mentoring? Is it for them to build the brand as well? There's nothing wrong with it sometimes, right, on the side. But there's no accountability now. What are they teaching, right? So I would be very cautious about picking the people who are just there for their needs only too.
It's mutually beneficial, right? They have to be invested just as much as the mentee has to be invested.
Absolutely.
And you just touched on branding. I would love to hear more about that, because you have such wide expertise in resumes and LinkedIn branding. And how, in your opinion, can individuals leverage mentorships to strengthen their personal brand or professional narrative?
So I think, again, it depends on what kind of branding you want to put it out there, right? So is it, there's so much branding piece. It's a biggest umbrella. Branding is biggest umbrella. Is it for a career? Is it to be a thought leader? Is it to get more speaking gig? Is it to get media hunting you, right? So you got to be very clear on what do you want when it comes to branding. If it's a career, then why are you putting it out there? So one of the example was one of the recent grad, I think, he was working survival jobs, and he was introvert. English was not his first language, and he was in the data field. And I said, okay, you want to showcase your work now, because it's going to be very hard for you to talk about yourself in an interview. You're an introvert. You're not going to go out there and network, right? So the branding piece you want to showcase is your talent by putting a dashboard and business analytics piece. And this is what we worked through together. And I was so proud of him because I didn't even think that, that was doable on LinkedIn. Like a person wants a job in a data analyst field, and I'm teaching him this. He was my test case on it, right? In a small town. So he put it like amazing, like the branding, stellar branding by showcasing his work. And he got into the public health sector, public company, government job. And then he's teaching in a college as a professor, right? So like, branding gets you that far. And he was working. He said to me when he reached out to me saying that I'm getting 0 interviews, right? So it's possible. But the thing is that as a mentor, I can just, he was my paid client, right? But I can only tell you, but you're the one to go and execute it. And it was beautifully done by himself.
Wow, that is such an inspiring story of how personal branding propelled his career forward.
Yes, can you imagine the guy like who was an introvert, who had English as a second language? He's teaching the data analysts in college right now as we speak.
That is absolutely incredible. Thank you for sharing that inspiring journey with us. And I'm sure people in the chat are so feel empowered knowing that a mentor can help them so much in defining your personal branding, giving you those tips and tricks that you might not see for yourself that lead to such incredible opportunities. We still have a moment. If there's questions, please drop them in the chat. But in the meantime, Sweta, how can people get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So I am maxed out on LinkedIn connections. LinkedIn only has 30,000. So I would love for you to follow my work and come ask me questions on my, blogs or whatever I write in. I am active. I'm also active on TikTok as well. I do live audio sessions, and subscribe to my YouTube channel as well if you're wanting to know much more things about career. But if you really want to work with me, book in 30 minutes discovery call, and we'll figure out if we're the right fit for one another, and we'll go from there, which is teachingyou.com appointment.
And I also saw on your website that you have some incredible free resources.
Absolutely. Thanks for putting it out there. So I literally just uploaded 25 checklists for LinkedIn branding. Since we're talking about branding, it's for you to grab in if you're looking for branding. I have hooked up the videos and a lot of hard work in there. So you can go literally and start branding on LinkedIn right now, especially if you want to end up on an employer search. It's going to be there for limited time only. Go to free resources, get all your free resources right now as we speak.
That's an amazing Christmas gift, holiday gift to give out as a guide on how to create a personal brand on LinkedIn. So many people don't know where to start. So definitely take Sweta up on that. It's only available for a limited time. And thank you, Sweta, so much for being here today. This was such an incredible insightful conversation, and your expertise in mentorship and career development is so invaluable. And I love the story that you shared with us in the end to see how much of an impact a mentor can have.
Absolutely. And you know what? A mentor can just do whatever they want to do, right? At the same time, it's up to mentee's cup of tea to go out there and do it. I think I always tell them, the credit goes to you, kudos to you, whether you're my client or I'm giving you free sessions, right? You are the one actually going and doing it, and then communicating with the mentor saying that, hey, we did this together, right? And it's now I know how teacher feels so good about it when someone really does good. I'm like, oh my God, like best mentors are those who are a cheerleader for you, who watch out for you, and who go like on a WhatsApp, like, what's going on? Why are you not doing it right? So have those kind of mentor, and you're never going to regret why you have those kind of mentor, because we all need those kind of people in our life.
I so agree, Sweta. That was an amazing point to end on, that you want that cheerleader in your life who cheers you on. Thank you so much for being here with you. It was an honor to talk with you, and thank you for sharing so much incredible advice.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It was a pleasure. I wish you all the best for 12 days of Christmas. What's happening right now? So great work you're doing it. And I'd love to hear so many upcoming guests, and go ahead and subscribe to your channel as well, Teresa. You have a YouTube channel, right? So I would love to see more and more content from you.
Oh, I'm gonna be putting that out there in the new year. Thank you. And you're gonna be holding me accountable for it.
Oh, yes, I will. I'm like, Teresa, where is that? Okay, I will do that.
Oh, I love that, Sweta. We're gonna do this.
All right. Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you, Sweta. Wasn't that just an absolutely incredible conversation we had with Sweta? Her expertise on finding a career mentor is such important in how you can grow in your career. And what really stood out most to me is that she said you can find mentors that can help you grow in your strengths, that validate what you're good at and can grow into getting better at it. And she also help you navigate weaknesses and help you to grow in those areas that might not be your strengths. I also really enjoyed when she was talking and highlighting how important it is to find a mentor that you can be vulnerable and emotionally open with so that you can share those insecurities or weaknesses and allow them to help you. And one of the things that really stood out to me was mentors can't read your mind. You have to be the one to speak up for what you're looking for, what you need help in, where you're looking for opportunities to really take advantage of the help they offer you. And in the end, you have to do the work. If you're the mentee, you have to do the work. And the mentor is the mutually beneficial relationship really can grow if you're willing to show up, implement what they teach you, follow up on their recommendation, if you're there to learn and grow and do the work they suggest. And speaking about learning and growing, this is day 5 of the 12 days of career goals. So we still have an incredible 7 days ahead of us. We have the most amazing speakers. And if you register on the 12 days of career goals, you not only get the link to the daily live event right into your inbox, but you will also have the chance or be automatically entered to win some of the most incredible prizes. Because what's the holidays without holiday gifts? And this December is all about giving back for me. So this December, I'm giving back big time. And anyone who registers on the 12 days of career goals is in to win the ultimate resume upgrade. So that is a brand new resume written for you. You also have the chance to win a one-on-one deep dive coaching session with me. That is about career clarity. If you're not sure what your next step should look like, we're going to dive deep in that 60 minutes and find the answers together. I have a standard LinkedIn profile to be given away, and that is me redoing your LinkedIn profile. So talk about personal branding. We're going to be really putting out into the world what you want to be known for. And last but not least, I have the Ultimate Transferable Skills Guide. That is a must-have for anyone who wants to make a career transition to figure out what the skills are that you truly want to be using in your next career step and that you can leverage to make that career pivot. So make sure that you are registering on the 12 days of career goals to not miss any of the next events we have coming up and to not miss out on these amazing prizes that we're giving away. Thank you so much for being here today. This was an absolutely incredible conversation with Sweta, and I'm going to see you back here tomorrow for day 6, when we're going to talk about professional development with keynote speaker, consultant, and LinkedIn learning instructor, Lorraine K. Have you ever wondered why, despite your hard work and dedication, you feel stuck and unfulfilled in your career? Do you sense that there might be a gap between where you are today and where you actually want to be professionally? If these thoughts keep coming to you, then today's session on professional development is exactly what you need. Especially in our ever-changing world of work, it's really not just about what you do, but it's about what sets you apart. It's about honing not just your skills, but also your professional presence, your ability to adapt, and your capacity to stand out in a very crowded field. So hello and welcome to day 6 of the 12 days of career goals. I'm Teresa White, a career clarity coach and the founder of Career Plume. And I am so excited to be talking to Lorraine K today because she is a mastermind in the realm of professional development. We're going to be exploring how to supercharge your professional presence, the importance of staying updated with industry trends, and the art of balancing self-promotion and authenticity. So whether you're looking to elevate your leadership skills, enhance your communication skills, or just seeking that extra edge in your professional journey, this session is absolutely for you. Lorraine K is a renowned figure in professional development. She has over a decade of experience leading editorial teams at tech giants like LinkedIn and Prezi. She's the founder of Rise Learning Solutions and has been featured on Times Square, and she's recognized as a top LinkedIn expert in San Francisco. She is also a keynote speaker, a consultant, and 11 times LinkedIn learning instructor. I am so excited to welcome Lorraine to the 12 Days of Career Goals.
Hello, thank you for having me, Teresa.
Thank you, Lorraine, for being here. I am so excited to talk to you and learn so much about professional development from you.
Yeah, such an important topic.
It totally is. Before we dive right into this topic, I would love to start off, because we're right in the middle of the holidays. We're actually only, I don't know, a week away from Christmas.
Yeah.
You actually enjoy holiday baking? And if so, what is your go-to recipe for the holidays?
Well, Teresa, I wish I knew how to cook well, and I wish I knew how to bake well. So I don't really have a go-to, but I will say that recently for a friend's potluck, I made butter mochi, which is like the simplest thing that you can make. So I didn't mess it up, but that's probably the extent of my baking skills.
That's amazing. Mochi are so popular in Hawaii. Like, that's
great,
like
yeah.
what everyone,
Yeah.
it's like super, super popular here. And I actually never made them myself. I should totally try.
Yeah, it's if I can do it, anyone can do it.
Oh, that is good to know, because I'm right there with you. It's like, I need the easiest ones. So let's dive right into the heart of today's topic. And I want to start off with asking you to share about some moments where you realized that hard work wasn't alone to advance in your career.
Mhm.
Were there any turning points in your life that led you to focus on skills like buy-in or promoting your work instead of just hard work?
Mhm. Yeah, so the first promotion I ever got was when I was at LinkedIn, and I was quite junior. And I was really great at executing and doing work. So I think that was a big reason that led to the promotion. And naturally, because I'm ambitious, after I got the promotion, I started thinking about, okay, how do I reach that next step? And I think once you're kind of in that mid-career professional space, I feel like that's when you really start seeing, or at least for me, that's when I started seeing, what's needed to reach that next level. In my work, I talk a lot about professional presence, which I define as how and where others see you. So you can be a really great worker and get work done, and your peers can know that. But if you're not being seen by the right people or in the right channels, that hard work, isn't going to really pay off, because you need both of those elements. And so that's when I realized that, okay, there's things like soft skills that require you to get that promote, or that contribute to you getting that promotion, to getting raises, things like that. So pretty early on in my career, that's when I noticed how important those things were.
I love that you share that it was really early in your career that you noticed that, because for many people, we go through a lot of the longest time in our career, and you work harder and harder and harder, and no one is noticing. Yes. So I would love to hear from you. What can people do to supercharge their professional presence? I love that term that you're using. Can you elaborate on what it means and how you can effectively achieve that?
Of course. So as I just mentioned, professional presence, I like to define it by two things. So it's how and where others see you. And I really believe, after, all my years of experience, you can only succeed with both. So one without the other won't be able to advance your career. So there are a lot of things that can go into this, but I'll give an example of each. So for the how others see you portion, I talk a lot about building trust in organizations and how it's a really big missing piece. So when I was in corporate, people would always give me feedback during my yearly reviews and always comment on how reliable I was and how they trusted me as a coworker. And I did what I said I would do when I said I'd do it by. So it seemed really simple to me at the time, but a lot of people don't follow through like this. So that's, how others saw me. Now for the where piece, I like to say that you want to be seen on platforms like LinkedIn. I often describe LinkedIn as the virtual office. So if people want to learn more about who you are as a professional, and your LinkedIn has no profile photo and it's very sparse and you don't have your experience, it's not going to leave a really great impression of you, right? So professional presence is really making sure you're leaving that really strong impression at all of those various touch points, whether you're interacting with coworkers or whether you are on LinkedIn or like in a meeting, for example.
Yeah, I agree that LinkedIn is it gives you such an amazing platform. I'm just so grateful there is LinkedIn because I often feel like I hear from a lot of clients, like they say like, I wish I could just put myself out there instead of having just to submit my resume to employers. I wish they could just get to know me. And then I always say LinkedIn is the space where this is about you. You can make it about yourself and what you want to be known for in your professional presence. And you can put that out into the world and be known for what you want to be known.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people still kind of think of LinkedIn as that job site. And I know this conversation isn't about LinkedIn, but I always like to say when I do talk about LinkedIn, that LinkedIn is really transformed to become a platform focused not just on jobs, but on content, community, and conversation. So there's really a huge piece that you can take advantage of. And of course, I was one of the founding editors at LinkedIn, so I'm a very big proponent of posting content and just having those interactions and conversations. And I met you, Teresa, on LinkedIn, so just showing kind of the power that it can have.
Yeah. It has an incredible power. Yeah, I met you. I met the most incredible people. This is something I never thought 10 years ago that I would ever find on LinkedIn. Yeah, I was like, it's just the place where you have your resume online, but it is so much more. Exactly. It is really so much more. And it's not so easy to stay on top of news trends and practices in any field. What tips can you share, or what approaches can you share how professionals can actually effectively stay updated and integrate those trends into their current work practices?
So going back to LinkedIn, I would say LinkedIn is a really great place to start to get industry news. So if you log into LinkedIn and you see that module in the top right of your feed, that is, the latest and greatest business news. So that's a really great place to go. AI is a big topic now, for example. So I did cold outreach to someone who I'm now collaborating with on a few ideas, and she's an expert in AI. And so she's teaching me more about it. I'm helping her with some questions she has about her career. So kind of reaching out and just like finding people who can educate you is also a really great approach. And then, of course, just reading what is going on in your feed, right? A lot of people are sharing a lot of interesting content. I'm sure there's industry, publications as well, depending on what industry you're in, like HR, for example. SHRM is a really great publication. And then I think just asking your manager, asking other people on your team how they tune in. Maybe they have some podcasts, for example, that they really like. All those things would work to help you stay up to date.
I love all those ideas that you shared, and love that idea to go to that feature section on LinkedIn. And that might also help to find people you want to follow. Yeah. So once you start finding, because when you start on LinkedIn, sometimes your newsfeed isn't the most exciting on day one. Yeah. But then once you actually discover people who talk about topics you're interested in, you will see more and more of those, and you will discover people you follow, and then you build connections and you can learn from them, which is just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, that's such a good call out. Yeah, follow the people who are leaders in your industry and learn from them.
Yeah. And that's again, where LinkedIn is just amazing, that you can actually pick someone's brain who works at your dream company or your dream industry or in your dream position. Like, you can follow them, you can read what they're sharing, and then you can get in touch with them. So can't say enough about that. Yeah. Professional development can often be quite self-driven and is somewhat intangible. How do you suggest that professionals can actually set goals or measure their progress in professional or in personal and professional development, especially in those less quantifiable areas like leadership or communication skills?
Yeah, I'm really glad that you're asking that question, because being able to measure is, of course, important. You want to see your progress, right? So there's a few ways that I think you can go about this. So the first one, if you're working at a company, is just to make sure that your manager is involved. So when I was at my last company, Prezi, we had to set professional goals and personal goals. And ideally, the personal goals would somehow link to something in the professional realm. And so I decided, working on a presentation company, I want to get more comfortable public speaking. And so I brought that to my manager. I asked if she was open to that being my goal. She was, on board. And so I was able to practice public speaking by doing speaking gigs outside of work and just connecting with other mentors and people like that and spending time reading and learning about it. So having your manager on board is a really good first step. The second thing I would say is carving out time each week to take a short course on a platform like LinkedIn Learning. And I know this one can be more difficult just because there's so much to do in a day. But I like to actually set a calendar item that says like learning time or take a course or something that just indicates to you and reminds you, okay, it's my time to just take even 5-10 minutes. Micro learning is a big trend to pick up a new skill or learn something new. And then the third thing I would say is come up with what success looks like for you. So if you're trying to become a stronger leader, pick a few attributes for what that means to you. Because as you said, Teresa, like leadership can be a very vast kind of skill. So, I like to call them feedback circles. So get a feedback circle together, check in with them. How am I doing across these key measurements of attributes? So, I want to feel, or I want to appear more confident, or I want to feel like, I want people to feel like I'm being transparent, or I want to be a leader with empathy. And so asking people very specific questions within kind of that broader umbrella topic will be a good way to assess whether you're making that progress that you want to be.
I love those suggestions, Lorraine, because it can feel like, oh, am I getting better at this? I don't know. Like, should I be doing more? Should I be doing less? And as you said, if you define what success looks like to you, and that can look very different for every one of us. If we know what that looks for us, then we can take those steps. And I love setting time aside on your calendar, because we always are like, oh, I'll find time for it. But then the week is over and we're like, okay, next week.
Exactly.
But it's kind of, when it's on your calendar, you're like, oh no, I have to do this now.
Yeah. And also indicates to other people too, like they see it and they're like, okay, this, I'm not going to try to schedule over this, or if I do, there better be a good reason, right?
Very, very true. Yes. And it's like, there's never going to be the perfect time, because we're always busy. It's not that there's going to be that one day where there's absolutely nothing to do and it just is meant for you to learn. Maybe that happens, but most of the time there's always something going on.
Exactly,
so committing to it, like, okay, I'm setting 30 minutes a week aside. That can make a really big impact over the course of a year.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like the little steps will add up and ultimately have like a really big effect. Yeah.
You're right. And that, I also love that you just said that, because it can feel overwhelming if I think like, oh, I want to do 50 hours of professional development next year. I'd be like, oh my God, where do I find this time?
Exactly.
But then when you say I'll do twice a week, 30 minutes, it's like, okay, that is very doable.
Yeah. And you'll get it done fast if you can do 2 30-minute sessions a week. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you come out to 50 hours at the end of the year, and you've accomplished so much and it fit into your life.
Exactly.
Yeah. When we talk about self-promotion, that can be seen as showing off or attracting attention. And I hear a lot of negative connotation from people with that, who are saying they want to stay authentic to themselves. Do you have any advice for people who want to balance the self-promotion with staying authentic to who they are? And can you provide tips on navigating that delicate balance?
Of course. And yes, I have been in those shoes, like with that mindset before. For better or for worse, self-promotion is necessary if you want to advance. I'm someone who's introverted. I also come from a culture where you're told to do the opposite, not be loud, don't brag about yourself. So, over the years, thankfully, I've been able to come up with a few techniques that have worked really well for me, and also help me still feel like I'm being genuine and authentic to myself. So the first thing I would say is, when you are self-promoting, reframe your sharings as learnings. So you want to just show, okay, this is what we learned from this project. We might have gotten XYZ great results, and here's what we learned. And, we're sharing it with all of you because we're trying to help. We're trying to help the rest of the team, the rest of the company learn from what we did well, or maybe what we did wrong, to kind of better everyone as a whole. The second thing I would say is tie it to the bottom line. I mean, I don't think a leader would ever complain seeing that you hit certain marks that helped contribute to the bottom line of a company. And I think people would appreciate knowing, what you did to get there. And so anytime you can tie it to data and just, cold hard facts, I think that's always great as well. And then one thing I actually recently read about, Teresa, from HBR, is this concept of dual promotion. And it basically is when you call out what someone else did to help or support. People view you more favorably that way. So I might say, I worked on, we saw great results for the marketing campaign, and Teresa did a really wonderful job interacting with our customers to get some case studies, for example. So I'm, showing great results, kind of leading the marketing campaign effort, but then I'm also calling you out, Teresa, for showing how you contributed. So that dual promotion and just showing that it's not just about me, but also, collectively the team doing well together. That also has been shown to just have people view you more favorably and not have it be seen as bragging.
I love that. And it's so impactful when someone gives you a shout out in that way.
Yeah.
If it's not just you talking about yourself, but how good do you feel when your manager says,
Mhm.
"Hey, Lorraine, you did an amazing job in the marketing campaign, this coming up, this fantastic idea," and does that in front of the team. And I do feel like when we start doing that, it can create a culture of where that becomes the norm, where we lift each other up and we promote each other.
Exactly. And one thing I really noticed as a manager, especially when the pandemic started, but even now, still as we are more remote or hybrid, is that people really crave that kind of positive feedback. And so if you are leading teams, constructive feedback is great and, huge proponent of it, but you also need to give the positive feedback. And so if you want to create a culture of learning, a culture of professional development, you need to support, your team when they do things that contribute to their learning goals and are able to bring that to the company and just, again, help everyone kind of as a whole.
Yeah. Oh, that is so important for building a team. And employees, so many employees, I don't know what the numbers are, but I've been reading studies of how many employees feel undervalued.
Yeah.
And I think that is a lot because we work hard. We do our hard work and we do everything. But then at the end of the day, we don't speak up for what we did. We don't show what we did. And then it's not being recognized. So it's the opposite, right? It's like both. We don't speak about it and no one else speaks about it.
Yeah.
But when that dual promotion comes up of like, okay, I can speak about, and I love how you said, speak about it as learnings, because that doesn't feel like bragging when I say, oh, I learned A, B, and C while I was doing this.
Yeah.
And then if I say like, oh, and that impacted the bottom line, thus were our sales numbers. That feels like I'm just sharing the facts.
Yeah.
And then if I give a shout out to everyone who supported me on it, then you bring up the whole team. And then if that creates the culture, they might give you a shout out the next time and everyone wins together in the end.
Exactly. Yeah. And I really like how you mentioned that that data that you saw, that people are not happy, not feeling appreciated. And I think there's like two really important factors that I keep reading about. And that is one of them, that people don't feel appreciated. And the second one is that, people are not getting enough training and not enough support in their role. So it's like these two things are just, I think, pretty simple to fix, but it's companies start cutting budgets. It's a tough economic climate. They're stressed out. They don't think to kind of make that space to recognize people. So these are, small changes that can make a really big difference in both a positive or negative way. And so I think companies who want to retain the best talent, who want to attract the best new talent, need to kind of make sure that they're creating a culture that supports both of those things.
Absolutely. Have you, and I'm curious, since you also identify as an introvert, it is hard to take that first step and decide like, I'm going to speak up for myself and my work now. Are there any mindset shifts or anything that helped you where you're like, okay, I got to put myself out there now?
Yeah. I think just growing in my career over time, you gain that confidence. But I like to say, I actually have a LinkedIn learning course about how to stand out as an introvert. And one of the areas that I talk about is that introverts are often very deep thinkers and they're really strong writers. So I think leaning into that and not thinking, okay, to talk about myself or to self-promote, I need to speak out and be super loud at the next meeting. Instead, I can write down like a thoughtful kind of summary of what I learned and share things that way. And I honestly think that's better because especially in remote, work environments or even hybrid, everyone's just in different places and different time zones and things like that. So to have documentation and things written down, I think that has really helped. And just, finding what works for you. And if you feel uncomfortable to start, making it clear to your manager, maybe that you're more introverted, and sharing through your manager, like, can you share some of these things out for me? For example, as like a first step could be another approach.
I love that. And I have to go and check out your LinkedIn learning course on that right now. I'm so excited for that because it's true. We don't always have to be a huge speaker at a big event to promote ourselves. It can be through those little things. And if you share those learnings that you learned while you accomplish something, that can be in a written format if that is more comfortable for you. Why not decide to send an email to the team and say, like, hey, I wanted to share what I learned. Who wouldn't appreciate receiving that email?
Yeah, definitely. And I actually at my last role would share a weekly newsletter kind of summarizing the learnings, summarizing wins, also always giving credit, like, this person worked on this person worked on this. Later in the Slack channel, I would share the newsletter and just shout out people again. So just a lot of like positive reinforcement, and also, sharing those learnings. I would have people who would Slack me and say, oh, did you, like engineers, for example, or data people, oh, did you know that we did this campaign like before you joined, or have you thought about this person to connect to? So it also just really helps kind of connecting the dots, especially as people, again, are different places, different time zones. It can be harder to connect and find those collaboration points. But yeah, sharing your learnings just has a lot of different benefits.
That is incredible. I love that you came up with the newsletter to summarize the wins for the week and give shout outs. That is incredible. Thank you so much, Lorraine, for being here and sharing so much advice and insights with us. How can people get in touch with you and learn more from you?
Yes, so I would love if all of you follow or connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm very active there. I also have a weekly newsletter called Career Bites. So I share bite-sized tips to supercharge your career. And then I also have my LinkedIn learning courses. So LorraineK.com/courses. You'll be able to find all of them there. And yeah, reach out anytime. I hope this was helpful for all of you.
It was amazing to have you here, Lorraine. I am so thankful that you joined us today and shared so much of your wisdom with us. You gotta follow Lorraine on LinkedIn. She shares amazing posts, and I can't wait to check out your LinkedIn learning. And definitely also make sure that you subscribe to her newsletter and get your weekly career bites. So thank you, Lorraine, for being here with us today. I hope that you're gonna have a wonderful holiday season.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me, Teresa.
Thank you, Lorraine.
All right, bye.
Bye. Wasn't that absolutely incredible, the advice and insight Lorraine shared with us? It's been amazing to have her on the 12 Days of Career Goals with us today. And I really hope that you've taken away a fresh perspective on professional development and how you can approach that in your career. Remember, this is just one of the many topics we're covering in the 12 Days of Career Goals. We actually have 6 more days coming. So if you have not signed up for the 12 Days of Career Goals yet, I highly encourage you to do so right now. You can either scan the QR code right here, or you can go to the 12 Days of Career Goals. So you can go to bit.ly/the 12 Days of Career Goals. And when you register for the 12 Days of Career Goals, you're not just going to get the link to our daily amazing live event with top career experts, but you're also in the drawing to win a ultimate resume upgrade, which is a huge prize. I've never given away a resume before. I don't know if I'm going to do it again. So make sure that you enter to have a chance to win this amazing prize. Also giving away a one-on-one deep dive career coaching session. That is all about finding career clarity, where we're going to dive really deep and figure out what does that right next step for you look like. Giving away a standout LinkedIn profile to overhaul your presence on LinkedIn, as well as my amazing Ultimate Transferable Skills Guide. That is absolutely must-have if you are thinking about switching careers. Thank you so much for joining us today on day 6 of the 12 Days of Career Goals, and I can't wait to see you back here tomorrow.